Yeah.
We are dreaming in the dark. We are nothing more than dust. Search but you stay lost. We are reaching for the stars, but we're making this too hard. And I wonder where you are. Mysterious, that's the part you always show. 'Cause you're too curious. Maybe you tide. Feel the waves cut through me, hypnotized by the sounds I'm breathing in. Hold tight, chemicals collide. Hold tight, hold tight, hold tight. Dripping lights paint the skies.
Hello everybody and welcome back to the Players' Championship. And straight away there, referee making a bit of a weird remark because you can see John Higgins is going to be doing the commentary. So straight away into the action. You know, there wasn't really a player's introduction for me on the screen. He just came up with Murphy ready to play his shot. But, you know, you haven't really missed anything. And now it is going to be all about Sean Murphy against Zhao, the first meeting since the Saudi Riyadh Championship, meeting that was won by Zhao. On that occasion it was 1-4, but I have to say I'm not really here to focus on that because of the type of a tournament that it was, and especially on a 1-4 performance. You know, we haven't really seen great matches so far in that Saudi tournament, but the thing that I want to make a bit of a remark towards is the comeback of Zhao to the Triple Crown events last season, because he's managed to go all the way through the qualifiers at the UK Championship at the point where he was competing as an amateur. And now as he plays a good shot, although needs a bit of cover from the brown to come the way of the cue ball, and he hasn't really got it. You know, the black is going to be closer towards the right part of the table, which makes this shot very much appealing there to Sean Murphy. Probably the second best player when it comes to, you know, 2026 long pots so far. And yeah, the referee straight away just asking some of the fans to make sure that the commentary wasn't as loud, so that the players and the referee could hear it. And I feel like we are going to hear a red coming at the back of the pocket, and we certainly will now. So just waiting on seeing where the cue ball is going to finish, and he's going to finish perfectly spot on there for Murphy. So yeah, a bit of a remark towards that last 16 match in the UK Championship last season. Murphy managed to win that one by 6 frames to 5. It was super interesting and super entertaining, and of course that was the re-announcement of Zhao, as he came back onto the scene of the World Snooker Tour. And ever since, you know, gone on to become the world champion, managed to win the, not the German Masters, but the World Grand Prix as well. And Murphy, in the meantime, managed to win the Masters straight after that. Didn't really get too far in the particular UK Championship last year or this season. I mean, you can say that the semi-final I think he made was a decent appearance, but couldn't quite hold on Selby. And yeah, has gone on to win the British Open as well to complete the ITV Slam. Now getting himself in a good chance, although, I mean, good chance to get some points, probably not to be winning the frame, unless there's going to be a brilliant shot for us to be seeing in the next couple of attempts there. For now, taking the black to be respotted back into its original position. So he's got the angle here on the red to try and roll it into the left middle, and at the same time give himself an option of playing for the blue, holding the cue ball back, trying to make sure he's going to have enough of the angle to try and force that cue ball to be travelling straight into the pink, which is going to be positioned perfectly for that split. And I feel like it's not going to be from a one cushion here. Although I'm very surprised to say Murphy has played for the last red available to him. So, I mean, I'm surprised on 2 occasions. Once, as I say, it was the perfect angle that he had to try and separate the reds. And also, I mean, he put himself in a bit of a problem position here because this red, you know, it has to be potted. And also, you need to make sure you don't lose control of the cue ball, which he kind of managed to succeed at both of those tasks. So, with that cue ball giving a little brush to the bottom of the bunch, now he's able to get himself lined up for the black to be taken, as he takes it pretty nicely now into the left corner. Managed to get in one more red on the previous shot, so just buying himself a bit of time. Of course, if you talk about the previous round of Zhao and Sean Murphy, both of them managed to win it, of course, for them to be at this stage, but very different performance though from Sean Murphy, where he managed to absolutely destroy his opponent from China. I have to say, I can't really remember who it was now. I think it was Zhang that he was playing against. 6-1 that he managed to beat him. And Zhao had a decider, which was really interesting to watch there from the neutral's point of view. Not so much from Zhao though, as Murphy's about ready to send that cue ball into the bunch. Is he going to be on the red? I'm not sure he is, because it looks like the only option that he has now is going to be the red to be taken into the right middle. Now, once again, it's not an easy one, even if you don't have to focus about the position of the cue ball at all, let alone when you have to try and push it through the right side cushion and getting yourself to be very much in a problem position. So let's have a look what the decision is going to be there from Murphy. I feel like he is going to try and get this one lined up for a shot into the left middle pocket. So just play it across the side cushion, get that cue ball to be dropping in and onto the black ball cushion. So 34 points. It's not going to be too bad for the start there for Murphy, but ultimately probably won't be too good for him to be getting this frame over and done with. Zhao still has got a great chance of trying to come back and be the player that is going to be setting up the pace to this match. Once again, both of these players have got similar styles when it comes to the way they get themselves into those chances. Both have got a brilliant long pot on them. Zhao probably just coming back to the fans seeing that part of his game finally returning back onto the arena. We've seen it, glimpses of it, at the Shanghai Masters International Championship, and more of that at the German Masters to an extent, and then especially at the World Grand Prix, the tournament where he was able to have a really good performance against everyone that he was playing with. Mark Selby, Chris Wakelin, Xiao Gadon, Zhang Anda. It's not a bad list for you to be winning that tournament. And especially the way that he's managed to handle each and every single one of those matches leaves Murphy a bit of a thinking time here in terms of the way that he's got a long red available to him right next to the blue that can be taken. So in the end, Murphy refusing that one, and that cue ball is going to be very close to touching the jaw of the middle pocket, and that's going to be great disappointment for Murphy because he may have just handed this frame on the plate there for Zhao, and it's about as close to him being a sitting duck now. He's not going to be able to have another guarantee of getting a shot on, because Zhao is going to be coming back to the table, and certainly coming back with a bang. Murphy's day today, exciting game. Well, he's going to be exiting the game for now for this frame, because as I say, one shot sometimes, hi Kevin by the way, forgot to say that, and one shot sometimes will be enough for you to make enough of a mistake so that it is going to be Zhao very much rolling onto the scene. And let's see which one Zhao we're going to get, though, because the performance that he had against Elias Lesser, he was 5-2 down for a reason. He was playing absolutely horrible snooker. And he does have a bit of a feeling like Ronnie O'Sullivan and Judge Chon to an extent, where usually the further he goes into the tournament, the better he plays. And that's a wonderful attribute to have as a world champion. And let's see if it is going to be an improvement straight away from his point of view. Great good mate today. Thank you for covering. Yeah, that was, as I say, at this stage where you're going to have Zhao in the quarterfinal of the ranking event, sign me up and I'll be there. You don't even have to book an Uber for me, because really looking forward to seeing this one. And once again, for him to be against someone like Sean Murphy that I also have great respect for. And I feel like it's going to be one of the most interesting matches to be seeing. We've seen the Trump against Williams, which was great entertainment. Didn't really have a lot of intrigue in there because of Trump rolling that lead off to 4-1 there over Mark Williams. Williams did have a chance to come back. In the end, didn't really manage to hold on to it too much. So then, back to Zhao Zhiton. He's got 3 reds that he's taken with the black, and he probably has got another chance of doubling that scoreline for now, before he's going to get to the 3 more or less problematic reds right underneath the bank. I feel like he's not going to need the one onto the left side cushion, because he should be able to score 70 points with the reds that he's got available to him. So once again, had a chance there to try and play that cue ball across towards the pink, and I'll tell you what, he has created himself a bit of a problem there out of nothing, because he is going to be on the wrong side of the blue, and he may have to force his shot, through the bulk, because the red that he would have been playing for was right next to the blue, but it's going to be underneath the blue ball line, which, it leaves him 2 options. Either try and play through this shot, which is not going to be ideal, and get that cue ball to be separated by a bit of a distance, and make it a mid-range shot instead, or you can try and do what Zhao has managed to, and play the shot off the bulk in between the yellow and brown, perfectly off the left side, and he should be back in prime position here. Once again, the reason why that shot actually had to be taken place was because the pink was out of position. I mean, he wasn't out of position, but he was blocked by the reds, which makes that transition from the black to the blue sometimes a bit tricky there, especially when you've got the reds to beat onto one or the other part. So now, once again, he hasn't got the angle to try and keep the cue ball on the blue, so I feel like he's going to be forcing this one to go all the way for the black, and he's certainly going to be doing that here. So just looking at the way he's got the red closer to the left corner pocket of the three bunch, maybe he's going to be able to play that cue ball absolutely spotless, because of the way that you need the cue ball to be positioned for that red to be potable. You're always going to be separating the other two reds away from the pink as well. So you basically kill two birds with one stone. And for now, obviously, trying to play for one more open red, which will leave it around 15 points of an advantage there over Murphy. And then you add 3 more reds to that advantage, and then you should be clear more than 35 points there. So the 34 points that Murphy has managed to accumulate previously. I'll tell you what, by the way, he may be able to tempting himself to try and play for the pink, although, as I say that, he ignores me, and I don't know why, by the way. Apologies, I've just realised that he's got a Welsh flag next to his name, and that is a poor thing from me. I'll try to fix that in between the frames. And yeah, apologies for that. That wasn't, obviously was from Mark Williams, and I've got no idea why that stayed there. So yeah, apologies for that. And meanwhile, it is going to be an important shot now for Zhao, and it looks like it is going to be mission failed. And well, let's see if he's going to try and pop this red anyway, because, you know, he's not going to be anywhere near to have the position on this red to be taken into the left corner, which means that cue ball has got a long distance to try and travel. And look at that for a shot beautifully cut into the corner pocket. Now, is he going to be on the brown? He certainly looks to be on the brown. And look at that for a shot. Brilliant recovery shot there from Zhao. And he's now going to be in prime position to be ending this frame here. Although I do have to say the fact that he's using the brown may just bring that points tally down a touch as well, which leaves him 17 points of an advantage. So he takes 16 points with the remaining two reds. That will leave him with 33 points of an advantage, so he will need the red onto the side cushion as it stands, which, I mean, is going to be a bit of a blow to his chances, because it's probably the one that you have to say it's right in between of you having the ability to try and play in behind a bit for that red to be taken into the right middle, or you just have to be taking that one across the side cushion. If I now take those two reds with the black, ensure that, you know, even if you're not going to be able to pot the red, at least you force Murphy to be taking that red with the pink or black, which, I mean, I know it's simple enough of a task, but at least he gives himself a bit of breathing space. So then 26 points of an advantage, so he will need to be using the pink or the black there, Murphy, for him to come back and still try and win this one without a respot. The blue will do him nicely for a respot, and you can see what Zhao was trying to do, but somehow he managed to find a gap of getting that cue ball to be around the red, and now leaves him with pretty much an impossible shot if he wants to try and take this one on, which he probably won't. This to be a quarter-final stage. A bit of a cross double, send it across the table, and to get that cue ball to be in behind the black. This is a nice line. This is a really nice line, and just about got the wrong touch on the black. And although I was saying it was a nice line, the red has finished in the open play. So it is going to be a chance here to Sean. I mean, this is probably when that gap of 3 points is actually going to be a very important factor, because, you know, this red, I'm not going to say it can be easily potted, but it can be potted, and the cue ball was always going to be played for the bold colours instead. And look at that for a shot, really close from Murphy, and in the end, it wasn't quite close enough. The red has wobbled and just about jumped back there for him to be playing, well, I mean, maybe it's a snooker there, got lined up on Zhao. Where to watch live, it is going to be on TNT Sports, I would imagine. I mean, I can't say for sure, but I mean, I would imagine this. I mean, it may actually be on Channel 5 as well, because when I was listening to the commentators yesterday and watching the replay of Trump against Williams, it may actually be on Channel 5, so you may actually be able to use this one as the tournaments that you can watch for free. but I'm not sure, and it also depends on which country you're watching it from. In the meantime, Zhao was able to get that cue ball through to the red, so it is going to be left out with a safety battle to be played. Yes, on Channel 5, there you go. And if you're going to have John Higgins for company, I mean, I've got no idea why you're going to be here, because I was listening to commentary from Big John, and I tell you what, he's just such a breath of fresh air to the game. You know, it's really nice to see. He's a bit of humour. He's clearly not trying to be boring there, and yet he brings so much of analysis to the game, so much of the knowledge for the four-time world champion. UK Channel 5. Yeah, it should be the one. It's not actually the one that you turn on TV on, and you click the button number 5. In the meanwhile, so the breakdown on the colours, bulk and the blue are perfectly on their spots, and the pink and the black are about as close as they possibly can be to their spots. So it's all going to be down to hitting this red into the pocket for Murphy and trying to get himself lined up on the colour. Although, I mean, that was a bit of a borderline shot for him in terms of that red. He's not perfectly on the black ball cushion. Had he been a couple of millimetres away, natural commentator John Heat, I mean, yeah. I mean, he's a natural professional. He's a natural legend of the game, and I have to say, you know, certainly he's going to be bringing a lot to the game there. So let's see what Charleston is going to be able to do. I feel like Murphy's done just about enough for this red not to be possible, but that's what I thought. That clearly wasn't something that Charleston had himself concerned about. It's a brilliant pot, and it's the one that he's ultimately going to win in the frame here. So just trying to take the brown as well to ensure that Sean will be coming back to the table. And, well, he wasn't able to take the brown, which I have to say is surprising. It's 34 points now for him to be the difference. So 2 snookers needed, even though it is going to be the free ball out of equation. The yellow is about to be potted, which makes it even weirder for me. And, yeah, I mean, really weird shot there from Murphy. I mean, he may be onto something, but he's just potted the yellow, which makes me feel like he'll pot the green as well, and just put all of his eggs in one basket to try and get that snooker on the brown. But even if he does it, I mean, he either needs Zhao to be hitting the black, which, I mean, unless something bizarre happens, shouldn't really be the case. And then he's going to have to try and find another snooker on the brown. So, I mean, maybe he's just going to try and go for it once, and then, so, like, he's not playing the brown, so clearly thinking about trying to get in behind the black. Let's see, the line is good. The line is really good with the cue ball. And though, as I say, I mean, the brown is probably just about close enough to the ball cushion for this one not to be a problem for Zhao. Zhao always defeated by Sean. Not for the last time in the Rio Championship, because he was the one that actually won the whole tournament. By the way, 350 people watching. I mean, feel free to hit the like and subscribe to the channel. I mean, that's only for the quarterfinal. And look at that. I mean, it may be justifiable now. I thought it was simple enough for Murphy, for Zhao, I should say, to be getting himself out of that issue. And instead, it is now all of a sudden only 1 snooker required for Sean Murphy. So he still needs to try and find it. Of course, you're not allowed to put the cue ball back where he was. You know, just ask Judd Trump and Mark Williams yesterday, the bizarre frame which has seen Trump to be winning that one, with scoring 90 points, still 91 at the table. Incredible stuff there. At that point, he had potentially 181 points, which he could have been scored for Judd Trump in a single frame, which is a weird thing for us to be seeing on a professional tour. In the meantime, Sean was clearly trying to do something about it, and clearly hasn't done enough to be getting that cue ball across the spine of the black, pink, and the blue. So managing to still get that brown to be in a safe spot, and I feel like it is going to be either a double here for Zhao. Or he's going to try and do exactly the same thing that Murphy has tried on previously. And in the end, he's sort of done the thing in between of trying to hit that brown in the way that is going to be positioned pretty much in a straight line, which is in a bit of a problem against 6-5. I mean, it's a fair, but I feel like if you're going off the UK Championship, a lot has changed since then. He's going to be number 1 factor, and number 2 has to be the fact of, you know, Murphy probably, he's not going to be the favourite for me, and I'm a bit surprised, if I'm honest with you, that Zhao is 167 to win this match, especially with him being now a firm favourite to be taking the first rank. I would expect this one to go the way of Zhao, and I would be very close to 6-3 pro. I don't know why I went 6-4. I mean, it's a bit of a boring scoreline to go for, but if I could change it now, I'd say 6-3 for Zhao. is going to be my prediction because I feel like this probably doesn't strike me as the match which is going to go the distance. By the way, brilliant shot there by Zhao. Getting that cue ball to slow down to finish up perfectly behind the black. Get that brown to be in open play. And from Murphy's point of view, of course, it's not enough for him to try and hit the brown. He needs to make sure he gets that one safe. And gets the cue ball position very much towards one of the side cushions as well. He's trying to go the whole way around, and I feel like it is going to be now frame conceded, especially with the way the cue ball is heading towards that brown. And well, maybe he's not going to be frame conceded, but he's certainly going to be brown potted there from Zhao Xington. And yeah, he's going to win this one pretty comfortably, it would seem, in the end. You know, he had a bit of a wobble where he wasn't able to try and find himself out of a snooker situation, but as he gets the brown in, and he's now going to be all about the next frame. Because, you know, a very dangerous thing about Zhao Xington is that, once again, as I mentioned, he's a brilliant front runner. And the fact that he manages to bring that part of his game when he's 5-2 down against Elias Lesser will certainly be at the back of Sean Murphy's mind. Because I have to say, no disrespect to Elliot, but I feel like he would have been the perfect opposition for Sean Murphy, for Murphy to be the winner. And I'm not sure if that is the case. You know, Murphy can tell me that I don't know what I'm talking about. Maybe right. But I feel like Murphy would have been pretty disappointed with the way that Zhao came back from that 5-2 down. And as much as it is going to be a bit more of a challenge, I feel like the style of Zhao Xington is a lot more of a match to the way that Sean Murphy plays his style of a game. And therefore, it just makes Sean Murphy slightly more vulnerable maybe to someone like Zhao Xington that has managed to come from an amateur status to the world number 7 for a reason. And remember, that only is going to be factored by the fact of he's been here a year. I mean, that world number 7 is the ranking points that he's accumulated for one calendar year pretty much, because I mean, he wasn't playing before the World Championship, apart from that UK Championship feature, which, I don't know, gives you 10 or 15,000 worth of ranking points. But apart from that, he's managed to score around 650,000 worth of ranking points. Yes, 500,000 of those come from the World Championship, but next season, he still won't have, as far as I'm aware, he won't have anything to lose apart from that World Championship crown. So he's got all the ranking points to try and make there, and we could still very much see. I know that Ronnie O'Sullivan has mentioned that give Wu Yiza 3 years and we could find him being the world champion and the top part of his game, but I do have a bit of a weird feeling about Zhao Xington because, you know, I feel like I was thinking about it on my way here, actually. Zhao Xington has got a couple of paths for his career to go. He's got the Luca Brazil path, which is going to be a one-off brilliant campaign, and then he's going to disappear, which already doesn't seem like it's going to be the case because he just won the World Grand Prix, he's finding his form, he's playing really well. So I'm going to put him in the Karen Wilson category for now. Managed to win the World Championship once, and Judd Trump to an extent, but Trump will be slightly higher than that. Where Wilson managed to be the world champion. Of course, it's only been a year since, and he's lost out in the first round of Li Beifan. Yes, that's fine. But he wouldn't, with all the respect to Kyron, and I've got plenty of that, you wouldn't really say that he's the favourite for him to be the world champion. Whereas if I want to put my finger on it now, I am going to say Zhao Xington is the favourite to win the world championship this year. Bottom line, for me. So that's going to be the second point of his career. Kyron Wilson, maybe a bit more of Judd Trump, but he's going to be winning ranking tournaments, maybe a couple of invitationals as well, but he's not going to be a real threat like, you know, sort of Selby or Ronnie or Higgins or Williams. So Slessor was a tough take. Yeah, I mean, that was brutal on Slessor, to be fair, and you can see that. I mean, the blue, I have to say, I wouldn't really blame it on that fluke on the blue, because at that point it's still 5-3, and at that point it was still Zhao Xington playing horrible stuff. As much as I like him, he was playing absolutely horrendous snooker, and I thought it was just a matter of time until Elliot was going to get over the line, but he didn't really help himself by the fact that he was making so many unforced errors. You know, he was getting so many of those chances, just not able to utilise them into the break of 70 points, which was everything that he needed. Just having a bit of a conversation there, Sean Murphy with the referee, Kevin Dabrowski. Not sure what that was all about, but it seems to be resolved, and it's now Sean Murphy to break off and get us on the way. If Zhao relaxed, he can win. Well, obviously, but we'll have to see. Trump for me, yeah, I mean, like, as I say, at no point of my life I'm going to be comparing Zhao Xington to Judd Trump or Kyron Wilson for now. He's nowhere near that stage, but what I'm saying is that I could still see him in a couple of years' time. He could be put into the equation of Karen Wilson. Probably less so Judd Trump. You'll need 3 or 4 years of domination or somewhat domination of a snooker for him to be very much to... Oh, you mean that? Sorry, I've just realised what you said. Trump for me for the World Championship. I mean, it's an interesting take, I have to say, Kevin, because I really disagree with you, but I'll have to disagree on you on that one. I know he's the favourite with the bookies, but by the way, good shot there by Zhao Xington. Gets that cue ball to being behind the brown. And, I mean, yeah, it's a bit of a weird one because, I mean, Trump hasn't got a good record at the Crucible. I mean, as much as he doesn't tend to lose to the better position players, I feel like, 2019 was prime Judd Trump and he wasn't able to, win a world championship ever since. So, Trump is going to be a threat. But if I was to make my ranking list right now, so it will be Zhao Xington number 1. You probably have to leave a space for Ronnie to be in the top 5, so I'll bear that in mind. Wilson, probably not. Murphy, potentially could be up for debate. Selby definitely has to be in that equation because of the way that he's managed to take the UK Championship and the Champion of Champions very much onto the scene that he's rolled. Always a fade. That's not very nice at all, and you're going to get another message like that, and you're going to be gone from the chat in no time. And by the way, Murphy has gone on to trying to hit that bunch of reds with a 2-cushion escape. Was nowhere near it, but in the end, he probably just gone far enough for this one not to be available into the left middle. He's going to be 4 points given away to Zhao Xington, but it shouldn't be any more than that. So let's see if he is going to be able to do anything with those reds. And, well, I'll tell you what, he's having a good look at that red into the middle. And I'll tell you what, even more, he's taking that red into the middle. I don't know why, but I thought the pink was going to be enough of the way there of Zhao Xington. In the end, that wasn't the case. And the Cyclone... Oh, sorry, I just realised I forgot to change the flag again. I have to do that intermission now, sorry. Apologies for that. It is a bit of a disrespectful thing, because I would be absolutely mad if there was a Ukrainian flag that wasn't put up there, but all I can say is apologise. Now then, Zhao Xington has got 2 more reds after his black, which is going to give him 20 points of a lead. And look at that for a shot. I mean, that's probably going to be... I mean, I was about to say one of the best shots for trying to split the back, and then in a split second, the reds are spread out absolutely perfectly, but the cue ball is finished perfectly on the black ball cushion as well. And I feel like, he's managed to get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 of those reds to be in open play, and yet he's not going to be on 1 at all. So that is probably something that you call a bit of a misfortune there from Zhao Xington. And yeah, it is going to be all down to the pure factor of just playing a safety shot out of this. And he is going to try and have a bit of a thinking process there. I mean, I have to say, as much as disappointing it is going to be, I feel like he's going to have to try and settle for it to be a bit of a continuous safety battle. He's got the straightforward path of trying to play that cue ball across the table to the left-hand side. Leave the cue ball to bounce away off the left side cushion, and then, get that cue ball to be heading across the table and very much to the very bottom of it. And, well, I can completely understand that it is Zhao Xington that is at the table. And the reason why he hasn't gone for that shot, although he would have been the perfect option, is that he doesn't want to slow the play down at all. And he wants to try and make sure he's going to be able to get on with this one as soon as he possibly can. Can Trump meet Zhao Xington in the final? He can, because Trump is going to be up against John Higgins. So Zhao Xington, if he is to beat Sean Murphy, he's going to be up against Mark Cullen or Mark Selby, which I do feel like it is going to be a very long, but a very interesting match to be watching. Especially if it is going to be against Selby, because I feel like it was Zhao Xington against Trump in the Champion of Champions, and of course the latest meeting between Zhao Xington and Mark Selby has to be the one at the World Grand Prix. Incredible comeback again from 4-1 down to win that match 5-4. But I feel like Zhao Xington is going to be a threat, and Selby is going to be the more consistent of the two. But yeah, just finishing on that point, for me, number 1 has to be Zhao Xington, and the more I think about it, Trump probably has to be number 2. Selby has to be number 3. Ronnie has to be number 5, so I must finish on who's going to be number 4 for me to be saying that it is going to be the winner. I'm not going to go for Williams or Higgins because of the reason why I'm not going to go with O'Sullivan, fatigue. 17 days or something like that is going to be super difficult. So I basically have got Wilson or Murphy to try and choose from. And based on this season, I am going to have to go for Wilson. As much as it's probably a weird thing to say, but I've got a feeling that Wilson wasn't playing well at all ever since the Shanghai Masters, and yet he was able to win the Shanghai Masters brilliantly. He wasn't playing at all, well at all, until he reached the Masters of the Triple Crown, and yet he's managed to win it. So Murphy has managed to reach the final and win the British Open, but I just feel like I'd have to give the edge to Wilson in just that clutch moment of him turning up to the scene and very much, well, playing better than anyone on his day. Meanwhile, Zhao is forcing that cue ball to be resting on the black ball cushion pretty well, to be fair, you have to say. Because of, usually would have a red given away to Murphy, but because of that cue ball being perfectly lined up on the black ball cushion, it is going to be an interesting one to keep an eye out for. In the meantime, Murphy can try and take the red towards the yellow pocket, but there's always going to be a risk of leaving that one over the pocket, which probably is why he decided not to play it at all. And just try and go for a different approach completely out there. So Zhao he's looking to try and get that cue ball to be back in the game. And in the meantime, I have to say, I can't be looking at that flag horribly. So let me just restart the scheme. I'll still be sort of doing the commentary here online, but I am going to have the bit of a thing for this one to be restarted because it just does my head in here. So there's nothing going on for now. It's just a bit of a trademark safety shots to be played. So Zhao forcing that cue ball to be down the table once again and trying to do something about it. So there we go. And going to get that one restored. And that's going to be 6. And then there's going to be 4 of those to be given away. There we go. So just taking a bit of time with that. But it should all be worth it at the end of it. There we go, apologies for that, so just did my editing, so I had to make sure that that was the case, and now we are going to be back to the safety play. That you can still see that it is going to be all about the trying to get the next chance in this frame, and right now, Sean Murphy has got a decent opportunity. I have to say, there's a bit of a misjudgment there from Zhao Xingtong's point of view, and Murphy has got this red available to him, and he's going to go for it now, so that's a perfect timing for Murphy, because he needs to make sure it is going to be now that he delivers. Now he's still going to be on the blue, although he may need to try and take evasive action to try and play the shot all the way to the top, which he has managed to do, to be fair. So it puts a bit of distance in between the cue ball and this red. Now about to be taken as well, so very much keep an eye out for this break there from Murphy, because I feel like at this stage, he will probably be the one that means a lot to him, because if he goes 2-0 down, all of a sudden he's going to be a massive underdog for the remainder of this match. But if he's just able to sort of restart this one and put it back to square one, he should have a really good chance of trying to get that cue ball to be re-established on prime control there for his own sake. For now, just, giving a little brush of the black probably wasn't the plan, and that will leave the cue ball to be quite far away there from the target colour. Once again, needs to make sure he recovers here. Usually don't really see too many mistakes from this position being made there from Murphy, because he does have a good reputation there when it comes to, maybe he hasn't played a good positional shot previously, but he should always be able to recover from that point straight away. And that would be an amazing final. Alan's been too long within a team in a final. Well, he made one in the English Open against Watchalong, and then he had a meeting against Judd Trump in the semi-final of the, what is he called? Northern Ireland Open, so he has been a bit of a king of the, what would you call it? A king of the Home Nation Series so far this season. And he's also managed to, I feel like it was Wuhan Open where he was in the semi-final against Gary Wilson, but he didn't play well at all. And in the end, Wilson was able to outplay him completely before losing out in the decider to Zhao. And yeah, just coming back quickly to Sean Murphy here. So he's got 5 reds, probably going to be classified as available, and then 1 more right next to the pink. And that point, that should be enough for him to be getting over the line here and making sure it is going to be all square heading into frame number 3. Now playing that cue ball across, and has he managed to mess this one up there? It was a simple task, and you can see with his reaction that is going to be a big blow. And whatever you say, you need to be having the ability to go for the blue now, because it's gone from a really simple position to I've just messed it up in a split second there. I mean, going for the blue is still fine. The problem is, if you miss it, you're not going to be given for you're not going to be forgiven for that one, surely, because Zhao thrives on those opportunities and thrives on those unforced errors, very much made by his opponents. And yeah, all of a sudden, this has gone really, well, badly wrong there for Murphy. He needs this blue to be taken into the green pocket. He will certainly try and attempt it, and he's managed to recover to an extent. You know, he's still not going to be lined up perfectly on this red, but that was the main problem, and the main task has been accomplished. So he's now just going to drop the cue ball to be alongside the blue, which is going to be just about fine there for him to be trying to place his hand to still to be taking that red. And the last problematic point is going to be the fact of getting that cue ball to be away from the side cushion, which he's managed to achieve pretty well indeed. Now he's going to be taking the black for this one to be at 21 points of a cushion. Sean will win, and Zhao not feeling well enough to concentrate. That's a bit of a boring point, because, I mean, he's made one mistake there, Zhao so far, and, you know, you could probably say the same thing about Sean Murphy in the previous one. The fact that Zhao is not going to be concentrating is, as I say, a bit of a... Well, it's a weird thing to be saying at the middle of the second frame, because he's not even a frame down now, in terms of his leading Sean Murphy. Yes, he's trailing behind in this frame. But breaking news, when you play against someone that is has got great technique and great quality to them, all of a sudden you will lose those frames. Just ask Judd Trump at the point of the match where he was losing out to Mark Williams, without Trump doing a lot wrong in a couple of those frames. Now Murphy still, like, doing the maths here. He's got 27 points of an advantage, so he'll need that red by the pink to be dispatched and plays into the open play. And an alternative is going to be trying to get one of the reds off the side cushion, closer to the right middle. And he's actually gone for the more difficult option, it looked like, but he's managed to achieve the perfect outcome of that. The red, which would have been closest to the right middle, has gone pretty much over the pocket. And now it is going to be blue to be taken. We'll power down home there from Murphy. Now getting that cue ball to be drifting home. And, well, still getting himself lined up for that red to be taken into the left middle. Murphy on the stomp, yes. And Zhao, of course, needs to make sure that he's not going to turn into a bit of a stampede for him. And in the meanwhile, once again, Murphy was quite close to messing this one up. You know, he can just about get through the pink to make sure that the cue ball can see that red by the right middle. And it is now going to be 34 points of an advantage from Murphy's point of view. So, as it stands, it is going to be 37 with the green, which will leave it a red and the black needed. And then he'll be clear for this frame, barring snookers that Zhao can still try and get. But this one has not gone to plan. And he's gone quite fortunate there, because he didn't judge the spin or the line that the cue ball was taken too well, and he's gone right across the blue. The good news, it's just about bounced away from the blue enough there for him to be seeing this red, and that red is not too far away from the pocket, so with it being a rest shot, and very much one of the good attributes for Sean Murphy, still shouldn't be enough of a problem, although it may turn into a problem for him to try and get on the black here, because you can have a look at the way that this shot on the green was played. Yeah, he didn't really hit it straight into the pocket there, Murphy, and you knew as soon as he hit that one that he wasn't going to be heading clean there with the white. And look at that, that's gone badly wrong there for Murphy. And I've said that he needed the black, and it looks like he's not going to get any of these colours at all. He may have the pink available to him, but this is quite a nasty shot to be placed up with. Positional success for Shaun Murphy so far, only 71%, way below average from his high standards. And you can see, well, he's going to be taking the black on. This is going to be the shot for the frame. As he managed to get it. Oh, look at that for a shot. Brilliant. With power, with pace, and not even wobbling in the jaws. Straight into the pocket that the black has gone. And now barring snookers, it is going to be Shaun Murphy's frame to lose, really. Because he's got a great chance now of getting those 43 points still available for Zhao, not to be utilised. Because it is going to be a gap of 45 points. Pressure, what pressure? Yeah, brilliant. I mean, as I say, he's got the attribute of rest shots being one of his strongest parts, but also, you know, you mustn't underestimate just how difficult it is where you place that cue ball to be super far away from the black. I mean, on Ronnie O'Sullivan's visit to Stephen Hendry was saying to himself that in some of the part of his career, he was actually leaving himself on purpose with a bit of the angle on those reds and the blacks. Right now, he says, when he looks at them, he feels like, how on earth was I potting those? And that's certainly been taken out of the part of the game. You need to make sure you're going to be super close to the black. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to control it. And when you've got two factors of, and even three factors, you know, you've got the frame ball, you've got the shot on the side cushion, and you're very far away from the black. It turns out to be a very important shot there that Murphy has made. So it's now going to be all about damage limitation and trying to hit this red into the pocket, which I have to say, I did expect him to pot at that point. I was about to say that he was pretty much over the pocket there. It didn't turn out to be the case, and I mean, Murphy mustn't get complacent yet for this frame, although I feel like he's got away with this one. The two reds, either one could have been potted into the left middle. Looks like they're going to be in the way of each other, but it is only one snooker as it stands. And, well, there you go, there's the snooker. Of course, he has got double portion there for Murphy to be aiming towards, of two of those reds, separated quite far away from each other. So I feel like as long as you miss the pink, I mean, I say as long as you miss the pink, it's not quite as easy as it looks, to be fair, from this angle, because it has got the left part covered, which is the one closest to the reds. So he needs to be doing that from all the way from the right side, but I feel like this may be just one of those shots where you need to be hitting this one with power. Look at that. That was super close to Murphy getting it so wrong with that cue ball hitting the red, and you know, that's the problem with the way that he hit those shots. He can't control the cue ball, and after hitting the red, it nearly got into the left middle, which would have put Zhao right back in this frame. And in the meantime, he's going to have a red to be taken now into the right corner, although I mean, he's looking at the other option, which I feel like he's not going to be able to get on the black from. So just take the one into the right corner. Play that cue ball across the side cushion. Get yourself lined up for the black to be taken. And then just think about the way that you should position that red to the top part of the table. Of course, you can't take the pink here if you want to have the chance to be winning the frame without needing a respot or without needing to be getting another snooker lined up for Shaun Murphy. So still, as I say, I feel like the first two frames have been very similar in the way that they have gone. You know, Murphy was chasing a snooker in the previous frame, didn't really get too far with that chase, and now it is going to be roles reversed. Zhao clearly feeling that it wasn't going to be too great of a chance for him to get across that red, so he may actually have gone for the option, which I'm still waiting for the confirmation of, trying to get this red into the middle, which he hasn't, so clearly just trying to play the percentage part of the game for now, although that's gone wrong. You know, that was all about judging the pace of the cue ball to being behind the black. I feel like he missed the trick there a little bit, Zhao, because he could have taken that red with the black, or the pink, and then he could have just made sure that he gets that cue ball across and very close to the yellow, which is out of position and close to the brown spot. Straightforward way for me, from this point, especially get on the top part of the yellow, for that cue ball to be behind the green, and all of a sudden that's the snooker lined up, and also you don't have to worry about taking that red with expensive colour. So, I mean, there must be a reason that Zhao wasn't taking that shot on, because he had the angle to try and play for the black. So he clearly feels like he's going to have his best chance of trying to get a snooker lined up on this red. Look at that, loads of side spin, but is he going to be enough? He needs the cover, otherwise this red is going to be over the pocket, and I feel like he ain't really going to have the cover, although he might. I mean, once again, that pink is going to come in at a bit of a bad place for Murphy. So the swerve is always going to be helpful. And let's see, that is going to be taken, and the red nearly was spotted, but nearly doesn't quite count. And it stays out away from the green pocket. And Zhao still marches his way to the top part of the table to be having a look to see if that red can be sent towards the lower part of the table here. So still, only one snooker needed for Zhao to be right back in this frame. And apart from the brown, all the colours are going to be on their spot, so they're about here. This is going to be close. He needs to make sure he got the cover though, from the pink and the blue. And there's not going to be a way that Murphy can squeeze past the two of them, because that's actually going to leave a snooker lined up, which, as easy as it looks, and as much of a margin there is for Murphy, it's still a chance for him to get this one wrong, with that red being quite close to the ball cushion. But look at that, as much as there was a chance of him getting this one wrong, he certainly got it right with a perfect snooker back. And I have to say, on this occasion, I'm not even sure that was fluked, because of the way and the power that the cue ball basically had himself to slow down ever since he hit that green. Hit the red, I should say. And just about there, you would seem Zhao can see this red, and not sure if he was trying to take it into the left corner pocket or trying to get that cue ball across and in behind the black. Either way, he hasn't worked out on either one of those approaches. And it is going to be back to Sean to maybe try a little cross double. At this stage, you can afford it. You know, the blue probably shouldn't just about be in the way there, although it may be close. So, yeah, he's gone for a cross double, and he's going to be close. He's going to be very close, and it is going to be in there. So, that's the way for Sean Murphy to be ending this frame, and Zhao won't be coming back to the table here, because it is now going to be 36 points with only 27 at the table there remaining. So, just a shot on the black, and it is going to be now a one frame each. As I say, Zhao shouldn't be coming back to the table. Whether he will or not is going to be another matter. And he won't be, so right decision there for me. No point trying to find 3 snookers on the 6 remaining colours. And it is Zhao and Sean Murphy that wins the second frame. And it is now going to be Zhao 1, Sean Murphy 1, all square in between the world number 7 and the world number 8. I feel like probably the first time ever that Zhao will find himself higher up the rankings than Sean Murphy. Although, I mean, just to say it, by the point that Zhao was the world champion and in the top 12, you know, Sean has found himself dropping out of the top 16 temporarily. But we still got some of the top seeded players left out in this tournament. Of course, no surprise about it with the, you know, the top 32 players actually competing in the entire match here. Top 16, I should say. And in the end, still feels pretty weird that we don't have a reigning champion and the world number 2 participating here, but of course it is going to be all down to the factor of, I mean, is Wilson, by the way, going to stay the world number 2? Because you shouldn't be losing a lot of ranking points for last season. Well, you shouldn't be losing any of them. And don't feel like he was doing brilliantly at the Players' Championship in a while, and you can see that. Well, rankings, Neil Robertson is going to have 1.1 million, so he's not too far away from him. Zhao now has got 800,000. And Murphy is going to have 736,000. Yes, class left in his tournament. Yes, so we've got the world number 1, we've got the world number 5, we've got the world number 6, the world number 7, the world number 8, and the world number 9. So very much all to play for. And incredibly, Selby and Murphy are going to be the only ones in the top 4 of the one-year list that are still going to be standing, with Robertson being the top seeded player from that aspect. Once again, very much dropped out by Higgins in the first round by a very comprehensive performance at that point. And another one has to be Mark Williams, that was able to be defeated. Was defeated there by Trump yesterday, despite producing quite a decent performance at the end of it. And, you know, getting a couple of entertaining frames to be played. Getting the highest break of the entire season there for himself, which mustn't be ignored, 141 points, which, as far as I'm aware, is going to be the highest break so far made in the Players' Championship. Let me just double check that, and that is the case. So a break of 141. Second place is going to be for Mark Selby in round 1. And 133 is going to be by John Higgins in the first round match against Neil Robertson as well. Because now, whilst saying all of that, Zhao is going to be coming back to the table and trying to separate the reds away from each other. So, probably a good thing, to be fair, as much as I am very much on the wagon of Zhao. Felt like if he won the second frame, the match probably would have taken the turn that it doesn't need to be taking. With, Zhao maybe just trying to go for every single opportunity that he's got ahead of himself, which, to be fair, I suppose the way you look at it, could have opened up the game a lot more, or you could have had Murphy to try. I'm not going to say he's doing that a lot, but to maybe try and slow the game down, so that he's going to try and do something different. But right now it is going to be Murphy that has got all the advantage. Although, just as I say that, a split second after, I was about to say Zhao is going to be coming back to the table. Basically, a bit of a explanation there for my reactions. Sean Murphy had a long shot lined up. He's taken it. He missed it by a mile. The cue ball and the red were coming alongside each other. So that's where I thought Zhao was going to be in with a great chance. But with the way they finished, I actually feel like it's a massive let-off there for Murphy. And he's going to be one lucky Englishman at the start of the third frame. Zhao was, well, that was a bit desperate, I have to say. There was no need for that. And he's left the red available. There was no need for that at all, Zhao. And I have to say, that was the shot that I was expecting him to be taking when he had a 2-0 lead. A really risky red with a super thin cut to be taken into the right corner. And he wasn't on the ball colours anyway. But he's going to leave Sean Murphy a great invitation to be getting that red, which I mentioned previously was heading with the cue ball towards the top part of the table. It's finished over the left middle. Zhao had that cue ball to be very much lower than the red. Sean Murphy didn't have that luxury, and in the end was able to take the red nicely without any more complications. So the green now about to be taken, as Murphy, once again, he's going to be able to re-establish himself as the force to try and be beaten in the third frame here before, confirming that he's not going to be trailing at the intermission and could still be the one that replicates the Watchalong performance yesterday. Because remember, it was Williams that had all the aces in the first frame. And then, Watchalong managed to come up with 4 in a row in the match of, in the second quarter final, I should say. For now, though, Murphy needs to be taking this position as a good opportunity, but you mustn't forget that it is going to be a bonus how many points he scores here because of the way that the colours are positioned. The pink is spottable into some of those pockets, but it's going to be quite difficult to try and get that one to be respotted in a playable position. So for now, just clear of the black. Make sure that it is going to be free of any reds on the left and the right part of it. And then if you need to, just use the blue to a decent extent as well. But another problem for Murphy has to be the factor of he doesn't have too many of those reds to be available to him either here. So he needs to be wary of that as well. For now, taking the red into the left corner with a bit of backspin. Trying to get that cue ball with a bit of a stunt to it. To be finishing on the black, not a problem at all. And once again, there is going to be a point at some stage of this break where you're going to have to try and send that cue ball probably from the black into the main bunch of reds because of how difficult it is actually going to be for Murphy or anyone on the tour to be doing that from the blue. You're going to have very little control over that cue ball heading for the pink, and that's going to mean that you could easily catch that pink in the way that it goes in the pocket. The cue ball goes in the other pocket as well, and yet you won't touch any of those reds because of how much there is actually to separate the main bunch of the triangle and the pink itself. For now, Murphy just quietly going on about the business, about to make it a 40 points of a break if he takes the next red and colour combination, which probably, as it stands, is going to be the last red available to him, so no surprise that he's got the cue ball lined up slightly lower than usual. And that's going to be heading into those reds. Lovely shot that. Really well played by Murphy. And it looks like he's going to be lined up for the black without further complications. So another attribute, which I'm not going to say that he's going to be assigned to one particular player, but it's a great attribute to be having when you play those sort of free shots, or shots to nothing as they like to call them, where you get that cue ball into the bunch, you need to be making sure you're still going to have the position on the colour, so that despite you getting a couple of those reds into the open play, you should have the chance to actually play the positional shot for one of those open reds. And that's exactly what Shaun Murphy has managed to achieve out there. It's going to have a lot of points without an answer there, from Murphy's point of view, apart from the little red and black combination that we've seen from Zhao in the previous frame. You can see he's now taking the lead quite comfortably by total points scored in the entire match. And that's going to leave him a bit of breathing space here in this frame, if he puts one or two of those reds onto the side cushions. But before then, of course, he still has got a really good chance of trying to finish the frame from here. If he's going to be just getting 2 more reds there from the remaining pack, that should be enough, because he's about to play the last one once again of the 2 that he managed to send across and towards the left and the right part of the table. So this one is going to be taken with the rest. Oh, that's gone horribly wrong from Murphy. And I have to say, I didn't have a feeling about that one at all. And he got quite lucky there once again, because that red is probably just about not going to be potable there from Zhao. But a real surprising miss from Murphy. Just seems to have wobbled badly there, because he wasn't even close to getting that red in. So is it going to be a shot all or nothing there from Zhao? And he kind of was, but at the same time he kind of wasn't. I mean, you can't really criticise him too much for that. But I am a bit disappointed from his count, because he was taking the double on. I was talking about maybe trying to get that red into the right corner, spread the reds away from each other, and just hope that you are going to be on the colour. Make it a one-shot frame for yourself. Instead, he's gone for a double. He missed the red, and he put it quite close to the yellow pocket, which I have to say, it is going to be a piece of cake there for Murphy to be getting this one in. No surprise that he manages to take it. And still, with all the brilliant shots that we've seen from Murphy, that previous mistake there, the reason why it was so costly, and could have been so costly, was, leaving that red away still gives a chance to Zhao to try and separate those reds away from each other. But look at that. That's the perfect way for you to fix that mistake. And the reason why I was getting to the point of, he didn't have any of those reds to try and play for. And what does he do? He plays a fantastic split of the pack from the brown of the left side cushion, and he manages to split those 7 reds perfectly far away from each other. And it looks like he can choose either one of them to be taken right now, let alone for the remainder of the break. And yes, fortunate with the way that he's had 2 mistakes, and Zhao didn't have any one of those chances to be giving back to him. But sometimes, you make your own luck, and Zhao needs to make sure he goes back to the basics there, because he's about to lose 2 frames in the bounce. And even though it is going to be a 1st-to-6 format, it's not quite going to be 1st-to-10, which we may be approaching very soon for the Tour Championship, and the World Championship being very much on the horizon after the World Open and the Welsh Open. Going to be there to be finished. But for the time being, it is going to be 12 points in the break here. More importantly, 61 points of advantage there for Murphy. So the black for this frame to be his barring snookers. The black is taking no problem off the spot. A bit of backspin once again to be added on the cue ball to make sure he got a nice little control there of the white. Now about to be taking the red into the right corner here. So once again, a bit of backspin here. And leave it on the black. I feel like at this stage, not going to be aiming for a century break. And, probably have to settle for the highest break of the match to be made potentially. 66 for Shaun Murphy, 67 for Zhao. Probably as it stands right now, apart from the positional play, probably the only stats which is going to be better from Zhao point of view. Now they're about to be taking this red into the right corner as well. That leaves points left with 51. So only 3 reds, which, as I say, at this stage, if all of them are going to be taken on the black, total clearance is certainly going to be on. You could have a break of 86 points there to be achieved, which, he's certainly going to take that from Murphy's perspective, especially after he had 49 or so points advantage before this break has actually started. He's going to be going for the pink, as if he's heard me there and saying that, you think I'm going to do the break of 86 points. And just to prove you wrong, I'm going to be doing a break of 85 points here. Game on. Yes, game on, but I mean, the thing about it is, it was always going to be game on from my point of view, with Sean Murphy playing well. It is going to be closer to game off if he loses the fourth frame as well there, Zhao, because, you know, it's one thing coming back from Elias Lester. I was going to say Mark Selby, and then I realised that he's probably one of the, he's not the most consistent player on the tour. But Elias Lester, 5-2 down, you wouldn't expect him to come back from it, but you can see the way that he's managed to do it. 4-1 against Selby, it's nice, all of that. But to do it against someone like Sean Murphy is going to be a whole new task for him and a whole new level. And I have to say, until you've got the equipment, make sure you don't go into that level. Because you make sure your autosave has been switched on beforehand. So Zhao needs to be making sure he takes control and full advantage of the previous train. You can't really blame him a lot on this train because the double was a bit sloppy, but if he makes it, once again, it is going to be down to the next shot on the black to try and separate the reds, and then if that goes successful, then it is going to be very much his frame to lose. You know, the previous one he was quite unlucky with, the brilliant split of the reds, and only finishing on 20 as his total points, so he hasn't done a lot of things wrong. But the brutal thing about it is sometimes it doesn't really matter if you've done a lot of good or bad stuff. The only thing that actually is going to matter is who's going to be the winner and through to the semi-final stage. And for now, it is very much advantage to Sean Murphy that he's taking the pink as well to make it the break of 77 and highest points tally in the entire match. And he attempted a trick shot. It was a mile away, but it's a decent effort there for him to be taking this break away from Zhao. And it is now going to be a break of 77 points for Sean Murphy to be taking the lead now. And he's Zhao 1, Sean Murphy 2. So still all to play for as we approach the fourth frame of the first mini session. Murphy seems to be playing super well as it stands. But he needs, well, for our sake, really, we need to make sure that Zhao is going to be able to respond to that as well. Otherwise, he is going to be in trouble. And yeah, I mean, not much else to say. It's still very much anyone's game for the taking, but it will be a lot less of a case of that if Zhao continues to lose a couple of things. By the way, like, simple as, if he goes 3-1 down, he needs to win 2 frames on the bounce. Because 4-2, I'm still going to say that's probably very close to being game over. If he goes 4-1 down, you have to say at that stage, I mean, once again, when was the last time that we've seen Murphy throw away big leads against someone? He didn't have a big lead against Trump, but you could kind of put an equation to it. But he wasn't really playing super well in the German Masters final or in the Xi'an Grand Prix final. But apart from that, he's just been so consistent this season. And yeah, I just feel like it is going to be very much mission impossible for Zhao to try and come back off 4-1 down. Yes, Murphy, good front runner, yes. And he certainly doesn't want to be a back marker. Now referee got the Reds to be ready. And yeah, from Zhao point of view, though, focus on yourself first and foremost. Make sure you're going to be in there when the chance presents itself. Because it will happen eventually, you know, just because it didn't happen in the previous frame or maybe the frame before. You know, once, you know, at one point, it certainly will be a chance given away there from Murphy's camp, and he's going to have a sloppy miss or he's going to play a bad safety. And when he does, you need to make sure that you put all the struggles behind you and you're able to take that chance away. Since we now just await for the frame 4 numbers to get started. Probably the most important frame of the previous 3 that we've seen from Zhao camp, and probably the least important from Murphy's camp there. Because after you lose the first frame of the match, you're always going to be pretty much happy, no matter what happens in the next 3 frames. 9 times out of 10, you're going to be happy with the scoreline being 2 frames each, because you would have won 2 out of the remaining 3. There's now once again a bit of a... I'm not sure if that's a repeat of what happened previously, because the referee seems to have done that a long time ago with the Reds to be respotted. And there you can see is at the same time, the referee is having the ability to be at the same time in the same place through different moments there. Anyway, Zhao is going to be coming back to the table after the break-off shot there by Murphy. And does it pretty well. Let's see if he's going to leave a red out by the right corner. He won't, so it's a really nice shot there from Murphy. And it is going to be Zhao Xingtong once again looking for that red, which seems to have cost him so badly in the previous frame, where he was trying to go for a similar sort of a cut towards the right corner. In the end, that cost him 49 points. And what followed was a break of 77 points, which made sure that it was Zhao Xingtong to lose on that occasion. For now, it is back to Sean Murphy here. So just looking at the way that he's got those 3 reds available to him, I feel like he probably doesn't have the perfect setup on either one of them to be taken into the right corner. And that's why he just pushes one of them into the second one and closer to the entire main bunch. Murphy's cloth plate will play part, I think. It will. It certainly will, but I still feel like, and that's going to sound a bit harsh on Murphy, but I feel like Zhao Xingtong can win this match if he focuses on himself. And if he plays well enough, he should be good enough to beat Murphy. In this, as it stands right now, from what we've seen from Murphy in the previous 3 frames. So it is going to be just all about who makes fewer mistakes, and it's always going to be about who's going to be able to utilize their chances better, and that could be a giveaway. Not sure to which extent, so it's going to be a touch and ball there, called by Kevin Dabrowski. So, I mean, it could matter if he decides to play a safety shot, but Zhao Xingtong has left a potential red away to the right corner, although Murphy's not even looking at that one. As I say, I mean, the only concern was the lack of distance in between the cue ball and the red. There was, barely half a ball with in between the cue ball and the target red, which I was talking about. And also, he would have had the cue ball to be heading across the table, and was very much compromising his chances to be trying to find himself on the collar to be set up. So it is now going to be Zhao Xingtong to try and play the next shot instead. And a bit of applause there from the crowd, which I have to say was a bit weird for me to see, because Zhao was able to find a straightforward safety there to play of his own. And now it is going to be all about the black is freed up, certainly into the right part. The pink may be playable into the left middle as well, which will be a nice little bonus at the start of the break. And from that point onwards, you can try and get yourself lined up on a couple of these reds, and all of a sudden, you're going to have a really good chance of trying to get these reds to be placed in the perfect way for you. So let me just do the thing which I always keep forgetting about. And there we go. We are going to have a bit of memberships to be given away. So feel free to, just enjoy one if you got one. So there we go. That's going to be taken now. And by the way, the safety shot by Murphy was taken as well. And it is going to be back to Zhao Xingtong here to try and do basically similar sort of thing there, you will feel. Trying to get that red to the top part of the table. And once again, send it back down. That cue ball is going to drift in behind the green here. And leave the red closer by the left side cushion. Which potentially leaves another vulnerability there for Zhao Xingtong, because it leaves a straightforward safety there for Murphy to try and play. That cross double off the left and then the right side cushion. Try and make sure that red finishes straight into the bunch. I mean, I'm not sure if catching the pink was part of his plans, but he didn't really have a bad outcome on that shot. And the pink basically gone closer to the right side cushion. It's still going to be playable, but ultimately it was the cue ball placement that he had to worry about. And right now it is going to be Zhao Xingtong to be coming back here. And he's got a chance to try and get the red towards the black there, which, I mean, is a kind of a risky one, because you don't want to end up with having the black and the pink to be covering the right corner pocket, because that's going to have the frame to be getting absolutely nowhere. So just try and get that red to be taken into the right corner and across the table. Who now wants to avoid the kiss on the brown. Has he managed to do so? And he might have actually played a really good role to him, because despite the cue ball would have been closer to the bulk cushion, at least he gives himself a guarantee of not showing that red at all. And by the right corner, and it is now going to be Sean Murphy to be taking that red. Pretty much on the left part of the table if he's got one, because he certainly can't see the attacking option. That would have been a great chance for him to try and get that cue ball across and in behind the black to try and get around it and get himself set up for either both colours or try and hold it for the blue. And instead it's a creative option that Murphy has gone for. Now, has he got the pace on the cue ball? He needs it to speed up. An acknowledgement from Zhao before the cue ball has even finished travelling there. Certainly would suggest that Murphy has managed to play that shot just about well enough for Zhao not to be seeing the red by the right corner. Which probably, as I say, and these points of this match is going to be the only attacking option, although it's exactly the red that he's playing for. He can't play a safety out of it, at least that I can see. So it's an attacking shot. Now, is he going to be able to get this one in? He will. But is he going to be on the colour? The answer probably has to be no. He was always going to be all about the blue or nothing from the power that he was taken. And it looks like it is going to be nothing. The black is not going to be possible into the left corner. Long pot success so far. 4 out of 4 there from Zhao. 3 out of 6 from Sean Murphy's camp. I mean, the blue is way too difficult for my liking to be taking this one on. And you have to try and basically either play the safety shot off the pink or else, really, because there's nothing else that I can see being a good enough of a solution for him. And he manages to play the shot of the pink really well, I have to say. Brilliant execution there from Zhao. And he's managed to turn a decent safety into a really good one there, because he places that cue ball perfectly on the ball cushion, which is a problem in itself. He covers up the right part of the table completely. Looks like Zhao is not playing well. He's not feeling well. Well, I don't really know. That's a bit of a, you know, can't really tell you. I'm not a doctor, and I'm also not in the venue. But the fact that he's lost 2 frames on the bounce wouldn't make me feel like he's playing crap or something. Like, he still needs this frame. He needs it more than Murphy. And if he loses this one, then I'll say he's had a drop-off. But before then, as I say, I don't really have a lot of bad things to say about him. His positional play has been good. His pot success has been pretty good as well. And then his safety play has been average. Something probably the weakest point of the match so far. And then the long pots that he had, is, as you can see, he's made 4 out of 4. So, not sure he was a free ball call there by the referee, but it doesn't really matter because Zhao deciding that he's going to put Sean Murphy right back in this one. So I feel like certainly not going to have a 3-miss rule applied to this one. So it is just all about trying to hit this red. Let me just get this one to be re-established, and Murphy. So, yeah, I don't really understand what the referee was saying there. The quote that I heard was, having a look on the first try, and I'll see what the result is. So, now the second miss. So, this is going to be interesting here. Because let's see if it is going to be warning there for Sean Murphy. So, it's a free ball. But once again, it feels like the yellow is going to be way too close to the cue ball to be taking this one on. And, okay. So it's not going to be a debate there. So clearly Zhao feeling that he wasn't worthy to try and put Sean Murphy back in that position, because he basically got himself snookered with no reds to be on the side cushions. It is now going to be a bit of an issue there. So we'll have to wait and see if Murphy finds one of these reds to be taking all the pace away from the cue ball. The line doesn't seem too bad, but the pace is probably not going to be there. So once again, it's a foul of 4 points to be given away to Zhao, which probably is going to be more than the points tally that he scored in the previous 2 frames. All given away by Sean Murphy here. Of course, it still doesn't matter. He's got 139 points available at the table. And it's all down to the factor of if he's going to be able to not leave anything out there. Which, by his face expression, you can't really tell if he's happy with the way the previous attempt has gone, because he wasn't close to leaving anything out, but he wasn't close to trying to reach the red with a minimal contact either. So now having a look at the way that he's got these reds from the right part of the table, which I have to say, I mean, I get what he's talking about. I get what he's thinking about, because of the left side, of the right side, yes, it's 2 cushions, and you don't have so much of a distance for the cue ball to travel, but it may actually be the better option for him. And he's just tried to do it off the one cushion. So, well, could it be the simpler solution actually works out better? And that certainly is going to be the case. Wow, who would have thought that after all that thinking, it was going to be just as simple as trying to get that cue ball onto the left side cushion and just try and get it into the main bunch, not leave anything out at all. So it is going to be back to square one with 13 points of advantage. Not really going to get far with that from Zhao's point of view, as he tries to get that cue ball across towards the brown. Pretty well on the pace and pretty well on the judgment on the trajectory line as well. That cue ball is going to be right in below the brown, which makes it pretty awkward for him to be cueing this one in. And in the end, it is going to be that red to be sent towards the right side cushion, which, I mean, from Murphy's point of view, he still needs to be careful about it. But he can try and do the same thing that he's done previously, as to try and get that red across and get that cue ball to be on top of the entire bunch there. Then he's gone for another approach. And once again, it is going to be 4 points given away there to Zhao. So he only needs 122 of those. And then he doesn't need any more of these reds. But joking aside, it's not really something that is worth mentioning until we get to, I don't know, advantage of 40 or 50 points, which probably still not going to be very meaningful at this part of the frame, with 140 being up for grabs for either one of the players. So now Murphy just asking the referee to re-establish the cue ball placement perfectly according to the VAR screen. So once again, just a bit of patience time there. That's, by the way, that's going to take the momentum away, you know, of Shaun Murphy playing such good snooker in the previous couple of frames. That's going to be a bit of a confidence blow. I feel like it's not going to impact him too much. And he still should be able to be getting this one on the second time, because, of course, he will be warned if he doesn't get it this time. And he still has got that fine margin. Ooh, I mean, I was talking about a fine margin of maybe hitting this one slightly too thick. But look at that. I mean, has been the story of the match so far. It's a bad miss from Murphy, but has he left anything to Zhao? And the answer seems to be no. So once again, it is going to be all about Zhao trying to re-establish himself back in control of the position. And getting that red on the right side cushion to join the main pack of 14 reds. And getting that cue ball across very much to the top end of the table again. So 80 minutes there since the match has started. 3.5 frames. Not too bad in terms of the average frame time. Having the run helps in snooker. Yes, but the reason I was going to say is that, you know, with all the foul points that he's given away, which there have been 4 of, I feel like that's going to be, and especially with how long it's been since his last pot, I feel like the majority of the momentum and the rhythm that he was breaking and building himself, sorry, I should say, in the previous frame is going to come to nothing. And there's the confirmation. He's playing quite badly there, Murphy. And I mentioned that the safety game was horrendous for Zhao. And it's been way worse than horrendous there in this frame from Murphy. And once again, fortunate not to be leaving a simple chance for Zhao. And there is still a red that can be potted into the right corner. Although I do have a bit of a feeling that Zhao will miss this red, and then he'll leave it absolutely on the plate for Murphy. He's missed the red, and he's left it on the plate. You can just see this one coming, can't you? If you know, and if you've played snooker for long enough, when the run goes in your way, it's difficult to stop it, and I feel like you can't really blame Zhao once again, because it was 3 bad safety shots from Murphy. He got away on 2 of them. He probably got away on the 3rd one. And yet, Zhao had to go for that red. You can't really blame him for taking that chance. But you are going to blame him if he's going to lose this frame from here. And, yeah, as I say, you could see this one coming. Although, I mean, I'm saying it's going to be a straightforward stroll there for Shaun Murphy. It's still a very challenging position there for him to be finding himself in charge of. The black is out of position. If he goes back on his spot, it's going to be even more of a problem than it is now. The pink is out of position, the blue is out of position, and the reds are very heavily bunched up as well. So the green is about to be taken. Yeah, the fact that the pink is not going to be taken with a while, well, Murphy's decided to try and play a bit of a hidden hole shot now as he managed to work out for him. And it looks like he has. I'm waiting for the confirmation, and I am going to get the confirmation surely, because, I mean, Murphy's having a good look at this one. But from my angle, it looks like he's absolutely perfectly lined up for that red to be taken into the right corner. So he doesn't think so. Maybe he's just thinking 2 steps ahead there, but the red into the right corner seems like this has got nothing ahead of it. That he's going to stop the cue ball from hitting that red. And yeah, I mean, not going to say fortunate because there was no apology there from Murphy. So clearly was trying to achieve that outcome. But he manages to get that very difficult position to turn it into normal difficulty. And still not going to be easy. But he's about to take 2 of the reds away from the black spot. So he's going to leave only 1 of them next to the black, and so that's going to boost his chances. And then he's going to eliminate a couple of these reds, which always helps. Although, once again, a bit of a weird shot that he's played there. He needs the lower red to be possible past the other one. And with the march that he's taken towards that red, clearly doesn't seem like he's going to be too fussed about it right now. But in either way, he needs to find a good shot here because the transition on the black from this angle is not going to be possible unless he try and force it closer to the left corner, which is going to involve a high value risk. So he needs to be playing for the pink, which is not ideal because for it to be respotted, it's not going to be placed perfectly. Oh, he's gone for a risk shot and nearly missed the red. But has he managed to find himself setting up on the black here? You can see this was close. This was super close there for him, missed that red. And the black has just about got far enough for it to be potable into the left corner. So high risk, high reward there, it would seem. Although, I mean, I say high reward. This is really close without black. And the only thing that makes this shot simple is that there is barely a distance there in between that cue ball and the red. Great shot that he's played. Yes, certainly. I mean, you know, fortune favours the brave. And he manages to get the break to continue, although once again, it doesn't look like this is the thing that I was mentioning about this position. Even though he's played some really good shots, it's still not like it's going to be on the plate there for him. This red that he can be taking into the right middle is available, but it's still going to be a bit of a problem for him to try and will certainly get on the black. Feel like it is going to be pink or nothing for him to play for. Oh, he's taken another red away, and he was playing for the black, so I mean, it's a good obsession there that he's getting himself into because he's getting the more difficult reds out of the way. He's playing for the black, which makes it less of a room for him to make a mistake here. And also he's getting the maximum number of points for him to be getting that gap extended there over to Zhao. But I still feel like it is going to be an incredible break if he's able to win the frame from this visit to the table. Although, I mean, the more you think about it, the more you look at the position right now, the more you have to say, well, it has turned from a really difficult one into a really simple one. And just as I say that, I mean, that was probably, hate to be that person, but that was probably the last shot which would have been difficult in this break. And of course, he had to go wrong on the last shot. Super close to getting that red into the pocket, but wobbles slightly in the jaws. Catches the front one too much. And, well, the interesting point is, has he left anything away to Zhao? Probably has to be the question of the match so far. He's taken the red into the green pocket, and that has been taken brilliantly there. Comeback on, game on, frame on for Zhao, because, I mean, Murphy will be super disappointed. This could be one of the most important frames that we've seen Zhao win, even after that performance against Elias Lesser, because of the way that he always needed a couple of those opportunities until very much the business point of that match. But he always felt like if he was going to be down 3 frames to 1, it was going to be mission impossible or somewhat close to it. Now he's got this simple enough of a position. I'm not going to say it's an easy one, and he's only going to find himself 2 points behind. So, you know, I feel like if you take those 6 reds with his pink that he's about to put into the left middle, that should be enough points for him not to be needing both of these reds, certainly. One on the left, one on the right side cushions. And if he manages to put at least one of them, he should stand a really good chance for him to be taking it back to square one and 2 frames each heading into the intermission. Close, yes, he was super close. And once again, that was the definition of 5 margins in snooker. But I do want to just say that position was way too difficult for you to expect to Sean Murphy to be getting that frame 1 at the current visit to the table. But the way that he managed to do all the hard work, and as I say, the reason why I would back Zhao to win this one, although he just played a bit of a weird shot. on two perspectives. I mean, he played for the shot which I thought he was going to leave till last on the side cushion. And he also didn't play that shot particularly well because he's got the cue ball to be leaving out onto the side cushion here. And otherwise, he's going to have to play with power, which makes this red missable. And, just about takes that red in. So it's a good shot, to be fair, because he's playing for the blue or the green, which at this stage is going to be more an advantage. Although he still needs to be careful with the remaining 5 reds of the bunch. Not necessarily positioned perfectly. And for now, the task for Zhao to be sort of making sure that Murphy will need that brown to be taken into either yellow or green pocket. And that will mean that he needs around 20 or 30 points of advantage. So now having a look to see, I mean, clearly was playing for a plant of some sort, but I can't quite see what he was aiming for there. So maybe just having a look to see if that's going to be his next shot to be played for. For now, he's about to take the red closer to the pink. Takes it pretty nicely. So once again, playing for the blue. It's going to damage the score sheet, but of course, with the way that he's taking the previous red on the side cushion, that's going to mean that 4 of these reds, plus this blue, is going to be more than enough there for him to be taking this frame away. And the fact that he's got a couple of those reds to be taken into the right corner makes this job even easier there for him. So about to take the red, and I feel like it is just about time until he's going to have the ability to try and bring the cue ball on for the pink. And the time is going to be now, because it just leaves him with so little to do on the next couple of shots there. And it is going to be all about trying to take the pink into the left corner, play the cue ball across the table and towards the left side cushion. As we can see, the break of 42 points there. Second highest achieved by Zhao, and still technically just about has got enough points for this one to be made a century break. If he's to take 3 of the remaining 4 reds with the black, make a total clearance. But of course his main focus has to be trying to get one more red and black combination after this one. And at that point, he should have more than 40 points as the advantage over Sean Murphy. But that was pretty close to getting it all wrong. I mean, I'm not sure that clearly wasn't the plan, to be fair, with the way that and the power that he was playing that cue ball towards the right side cushion. Basically, the red that would have been a problem got caught by the cue ball, and Xington was pretty lucky that he managed to line perfectly on that red. And Murphy will be feeling the same fate of Zhao Xington in the second frame. 20 points that he was able to build of a gap out of his own, and it wasn't enough for him to be taking that frame away. Now 47 points of an advantage for Zhao Xington, and it is his frame barring Stukas there. So it is Zhao Xington back in control of this match. In terms of, at least, he's going to be in charge of trying to be a real contender here. And a challenger for Sean Murphy. 2 for each of the players. And now just doing the maths here. If he takes this red with a black, which with this angle he probably won't, he could have had a century break to be taking us as the highest break of the match. But it could still be the highest one if he takes this red with, expensive colours and takes that brown into the yellow pocket. And you look at that, he knows the fans are here for the century break. So even though he's going to have a horrible angle on the black, he's still going to try and attempt it. And just about keeps it out of the pocket there, the black. So Zhao Xington, the real entertainer for the fans, he's going to entertain us to another break of 60 plus. Not quite his highest break of the match, but it wouldn't matter one bit there. It is 2 frames each as Zhao Xington and Sean Murphy trail a couple of frames each. And it is all to play for as the match has turned into a first to 4 of a battle. And we'll be back in 15 minutes time. In the meantime, feel free to subscribe to the channel and hit the like on the stream. We'll see you in a bit of a moment to see who's going to be the one to join the lineup of John Higgins and Judd Trump and be the third of the 4 semi-finalists for us to be witnessing tomorrow. Thank you very much once again for tuning in, and we'll see you in 15 minutes time. Stay tuned in.
Can make me move. in smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Filling the lungs inside you, and the blackened eyes make my way into your mind. Just to know what you knew. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Let the darkness take control. Let the darkness take control. Darkness take control. May the darkness take control. Take me in the smoke, breathe me in and let me go. Sink to your heart to find you. Open up your eyes till you're blinded by the lies, so you can see what you do. Restless every time we start locking eyes. Lost control. Oh, it's paradise with honesty, but I'm in the dead of the night. Teardrops on the floor. The pain is over. Feel the darkness take control.
There's a distance between us. It's getting hard to reach out. Haven't seen you in seasons, but all I hear is your voice. I know my limits, you can break me down, but I'll stay till the finish line. And I've been counting minutes for quite some time now, just to see you again. And I've been counting days to get away, to see you again, see you again. Been finding ways to get away, to see you again, see you again. We got millions of reasons to let it all go. Hope we're not too broken. I know I'm not always strong.
Well, guess what? We are back now, and well, certainly have not been looking forward to the second mini session of a first to six match, as I am going to be right now, because this is going to be an absolute cracker here, because we've seen 4 very interesting frames on each and every single one of those occasions, and I feel like we're about to see 4 more at least of, you know, a match of a similar sort of quality, because even if Zhao or Sean Murphy were to go on an absolute roll of their life, it would still be 4 more frames of the action, including this one, for either one of them to win this match 6-2. And more realistically though, it is going to be taken to the likes of 6-4, or maybe even a decider, for us to see which one of the players is going to be the winner. And look at that for a shot. I thought for a second, sorry about that, thought the red was going to be heading straight into the pocket from Murphy. In the end, it wobbles right at the last second and has stayed out just about far enough there from the main target of the pocket for it to go onto the left side cushion. not be available for Zhao Xington to try and do anything with it. So once again, he's going to be just rolling that cue ball towards the top part of the table. Murphy played better than Zhao in the first 4 frames. You know what? As much as it's interesting, I probably have to say I disagree with that, because I can get the point, and you probably can make the same point about Zhao Xington though, which probably is why I'm going to have to say it's a draw of 2 frames each for a reason. And I felt like not one of the players has played perfect snooker. You know, if it was perfect snooker for either one of them two, it would have been 3-1 in either Murphy's favour or Zhao Xington. Because I feel like the only opportunity that was lost there by Murphy was that 4th frame, where he had a 28-point advantage, and he had just one more shot to play on the red into the right corner. He was going to be always perfectly lined up for the black, and then it was just a matter of when, not if, he was going to be the winner of the frame. Similar story for Zhao Xington in the 2nd frame, and yet, you know, the scoreline is going to be 2 frames each. We've had safety battles pretty much to start us off in every single one of those equations. So let's see if it is going to be Zhao Xington or Sean Murphy to try and get themselves back onto the lead. So I'm not sure what Murphy's looking at like that. He's doing the Ali Carter, the captain impression. So, I mean, Zhao was looking in there for a split second previously, so maybe it's going to be the lighting I should say. But Murphy seems to not bother too much with it and just go all about the business. So a cross double for that red, getting that cue ball to be slightly too close to the jaws, but just about far enough there for that wobble not to be sort of compromising the cue ball enough there. And then a couple of members in the audience just thinking whether it was worth clapping or not. And in the end, I felt like it probably was, because he forces Zhao Xington to be opening up the reds, which always leaves a bit of a risk behind this shot. And now he's played it really well, especially if that cue ball was going to finish on the ball cushion, and he is. Super shot there from Zhao Xington, because the thing about the previous shot from Murphy, what was so good about it, is that he didn't leave a cross double on, and it was still a perfect angle for that cross double. Now, Zhao Xington has managed to do the same thing, but better, because he's going to have the brown in between that red and the cue ball. And also he's going to place it perfectly onto the ball cushion area, which makes an ordinary shot of the main bunch slightly more difficult there for Sean. So you feel like probably thin on the edge of the middle one of those reds on the main pack. And, well, he's tried to go for the lower one. I have to say, I think that's a mistake. Let's see where the reds are going to finish. And, I mean, he got the cue ball control to be perfect, so it was rolling towards the green pocket. Judged the pace really well for it to finish just before reaching that one. But I have to say, even though I say he's managed to judge the pace of the cue ball pretty well, I mean, he's still doing the captain pause there, Murphy, which I'm not sure he's all about. Has he left his shred available for Zhao Xington? He has. He's taken it there, Zhao. The pace of the cue ball, he's always going to get that white to be heading over the bulk line. And, I mean, he's left himself in with a chance, but I feel like that's going to be only the nominal chance, because, you know, if you take this brown on, all right, you can try and get 4 more points to the score sheet, but unless you take it into the middle, which is a whole different story, you shouldn't be able to get yourself lined up for any one of those reds. But he's taking a good look at this one, which makes me suggest that he's going to be taking the one into the middle, but super difficult. Loads of topspin as well. He missed the shot like that when it didn't matter, and when it does matter, he goes on to deliver. Brilliant shot there by Zhao Xington. Not quite as much brilliant with the positional play, but at least he gives himself a chance. And don't care how strange that will sound, but his easiest red right now will probably be the hardest one overall at the table. Though he thinks about that red onto the right side cushion, thinks against it at the end. And just taking another red into the left corner, played that shot super well. As I say, those are nightmare for you to be playing when you've got that cue ball super far away from the red and also super close to the side cushions, covering the Welsh Open next week. Yeah, so once again, it will be similar sort of thing, but I had a look at the draw. I'm not going to do the first round because that's going to be, as much as, with all the respect, that's going to be a bit of a waste, especially in first to 4. I am certainly going to be jumping onto the last 16 and onwards, but unless there's going to be something like Selby against Lisowski in the last 32, I feel like I'm going to skip the first 2 rounds because it starts on Monday anyway, so I feel like it's not going to be too much of a break. We are going to have a loads of the break, though, with the Welsh, and yeah, I mean, You know, you can't be just switching off when you reach the most important and the most interesting part of the season after the Welsh, which I am slightly skeptical about, but, you know, it's better than nothing. Certainly going to be. I'm looking forward to the World Open badly because I feel like that might be the last dance before the World Championship for Ronnie O'Sullivan. And then, you know, you always have Chinese players doing super well in the tournaments in China so far this season, which is always a great thing to watch. Then you're going to have the Tour Championship, which is great fun because it's 2 sessions for each of those matches. And then you're going to have the World Championship, which I feel like it needs no explanation on why the people would be looking forward to that tournament. Tour Championship. Yeah, I said Players Championship, didn't I? Yeah, sorry. Players Championship is the one that we're playing right now. And the Tour Championship is the one that we're going to be heading towards after the World Open. And then Zhao Xington for now is heading towards a 3-2 lead now. He's halfway there. He's got a 37 points advantage. Easy win Murphy. Well, I'll tell you what. That's spread out badly. You know, 62% feel like Zhao Xington is going to be the winner. And that has changed drastically over the last couple of frames. And, you know, so many people have been saying that Murphy is going to be, you know, was playing super well in the opening 4 frame. I don't feel like he was. I genuinely don't understand where that Murphy hype was. I get the point that he was 1 frame away from having this headline that he was playing super well, but sometimes one shot can cost you 1 point. Sometimes it can cost you the entire championship. And when it happens in the decider, just ask Mark Williams in that incredible decider drama of Saudi Arabia last season, or Ronnie O'Sullivan in a similar story with Neil Robertson. For now, it is Zhao Xington trying to get himself back on track here to win 2 frames of the bounce, very much like he's done in the, well, like Shaun Murphy has done at the start of this match after Zhao Xington was able to take the first one. But I have to say, really surprised and really impressed with how close the players have been so far. I was thinking the Welsh Open was sooner in snooker season. It seemed last year was in February. Player Championship in April. Maybe my memory is certainly correct. Now, I feel like Players Championship was in February, to be fair. I will double check when the frame ends. But Welsh Open, to me, always seemed like it is at the end of February. So, but once again, they changed it a bit because we didn't have any new tournaments for a while now, for 2 or 3 years coming into the tour. We shouldn't really have one new next season. So the likes of, you know, Riga Masters in Latvia, the Indian Masters, the Gibraltar Open, something like that. And the Players Championship, of course, the European Tour Championship, which of course would have been changed onto another tournament and stuff like that. China Open, you know, the Hong Kong Masters, Macau Masters, we haven't seen those for a while. Although technically Hong Kong Masters may be called just the World Grand Prix right now. Anyway, we are now reaching the point of Zhao Xington doing it in an absolute blitz there of 69 points. He's now ahead. And yeah, just trying to get that red into the left corner. And then he's going to have a point of 70 points. Well, a benefit of 70 points over Shaun Murphy with only 67 of those at the table first on. Well, it's probably due there because it's the highest break that we've seen from Zhao Xington. We've seen the breaks of 66, 67, 77 and counting. We've seen 77 from Shaun Murphy as well. So we could have seen one in the previous frame. Had the black rolled in, it would have been down to the brown. In the end, that wasn't quite the case. And now he's still marching on towards potentially the highest break of the entire tournament. Remember, that was made by Mark Williams yesterday in the first frame against Watchalong, which I always say is a lot more impressive than you do it in the decider for how raw and rusty you are coming from. Yes, you've got the mentality of maybe I've got nothing to lose. But when you play against Watchalong, the pressure is always going to be on you. And in the meantime, you can see that 11 reds that he's taken, 10 of them with the black, and only 1 of them was taken with the brown. Although the perfect stat is going to come to an end because he's about to take the second non-black colour, which is going to be the blue. That's going to get him to 91 points here of an advantage. And get that red to be taken into the right corner, which, by the way, remember, this was the red that he could have taken as the first red there as an introduction. Very awkward there with the rest placement, because, of course, he's not going to be playing that one with the wrong hands. And look at that, placing the rest on top of a cushion and still able to roll that red perfectly into the corner. About to make it 99 points, so still needs a bit of damage there to be done with those 2 reds. And is he on one? I'm not sure, you know. He still needs a red to try and find. And he's looking at the other red, which is going to be covered up by the pink. So is it going to be the shot into the yellow pocket? It certainly will be. A very fitting end to this Centurion break. And look at that. Brilliant strike with a long pot into the yellow pocket. And that fan is really enjoying it. I mean, I was excited, but that one was going absolutely nuts. As if he had, you know, a wager on the 5th frame to be a century by Zhao. He was certainly making the most out of it, which, fair play. That's what it's all about. And it'd be hard to beat 1-4-1. Well, I tell you what, it won't be now. Because he's looking on to a 1-4. I don't know actually. What is he looking at? He's about 1-4. 1-4. No, he can't be looking at 1-4 all. So let's have a look. Getting the maths on. 1-4-2 he's looking on. Yeah, there you go. Kevin is able to do the maths a lot quicker than I am. But he's got 6 colours. You know, 5 of them are going to be perfectly on their spots. The pink is slightly out of position, but it's still very close to the blue. And it's very much in open play, which he's looking forward to trying to get that one into the right middle. So Zhao, of course, making the highest break of the World Grand Prix in the final. Let's see if he's going to be able to try and set the pace to this tournament as well, because, you know, as much as he doesn't need the ranking points, he still won't say no to a little 5,000 worth of bonus for the highest break. And once again, I'm not sure. I should have the audio on for now, but Zhao was smiling about it. I'm not sure there was a bit of heckling going on from the background, because Murphy was having a look towards it anyway. But as I say, if you try to distract Zhao, good luck with that, because this guy just seems like he's on another planet. You know, he's got headphones which are invisible, and he doesn't care about anything that's going on apart from the snooker cloth that he's managed to lay for himself absolutely perfectly, as he takes the pink without real effort. Tell you what, there's a lot of noise in the background, which I'm not too sure what that's all about, but there's certainly going to be a lot of noise in the arena now, because Zhao take a bow. That has been the highest break that we've seen in the Players' Championship, and that is going to be a 1-4-2 for Zhao to be taking a lead once again against Shaun Murphy. It is Zhao 3, Shaun Murphy 2, as we approach the second part of this match, and it is once again advantage to Zhao. Perfect way, perfect response for him to try and get himself right back in this match. You know, it was always going to be a little bit of pressure after trying to come back from an intermission break. You know, you're always going to be slightly more rusty than you would have been trying to finish that one off with a break of 77 points. But you certainly can't say that we've not been entertained to a very interesting match there, especially from Zhao point of view. The breaks of 66, 67, 142, which was quite an improvement. And then the breaks of 77 and 70 from Shaun Murphy as well. That is going to be a very nice stat there for us to be looking. So 5 frames, 5 plus 5 50 plus breaks. I never seem to get that formula right. And then another century that we were due. And look at that for a century. 142 points only using the brown and the blue. So 13 blacks that he's taken with those reds. So you have to say, you know, this probably, it's not the right way to look at it, but could there have been a bit of a maximum attempt? Probably not, because it does make a massive difference, because if you run yourself, you know, out of position slightly on the black, you may not even win that whole frame, but because you're able to just use the brown and the blue, although it was only the case in one of those occasions, it still clearly gave him a massive advantage at that point to be clinical with those reds. And now he's able to put himself back ahead and lead against, nearly said against Zhao. He can't lead against himself, but lead against Shaun Murphy he certainly can. And that's exactly what he's done now, as he now leads the Magician by 3 frames to 2. And still, no real sign that the fun is about to end, because the match, well, I'm not going to say it's only getting started, but it's not even reached the potential halfway point, because if Murphy is going to be winning a couple of frames of the bounce, he is back. Yeah, I'm not sure if that's going to be about Zhao in this match or in the entire perspective of things there, of the entire tour, because, you know, you look at the way how dreadful it was in the Whole Nation Series, quite bad in the Saudi Masters as well, then managed to have a decent campaign at the Shanghai Masters Invitational International Championship ranking event, reached the semi-final in both of them, managed to keep up the perfect record of 4 out of 4 ranking event finals. When you reach that, when you reach the World Grand Prix final as well against Zhang, and very much an old China lineup for the last 4. But we mustn't forget about Sean Murphy. He was able to strike once. He should be able to do it again. Although as we get closer to the finish line, he needs to make sure he's not going to be allowing Zhao to be having any more of those frames. And not really going to achieve that if he's going to have break-off like that. I feel like, ooh, that's going to be really close for Zhao to be seeing that red to be taken into the left corner. But I feel like I have to give him the benefit of the doubt that he can see this red. And just asking the referee to clean the white in the meantime. I mean, like Kevin Dubrovsky had a look there to see the line as if to say that, you know, unless he wants to have a bit of advantage with it, so that you can see slightly more of that red, but clearly wasn't the case. And if anything, actually it feels like from this angle, I'm not sure if I'm trying to make this one up, but it feels like the cue ball is going to be closer to the yellow here. So important shot now, and it feels like the one that could start to get this game away from Sean Murphy. And look at that for a shot, an absolute magic there from the Cyclone, and he is going to be lined up absolutely perfectly for the blue. 8 out of 8 long pot success, by the way. This is certainly going to be heading on the highlights reel. Zhao, take a bow. If you're going to be back, make sure you're going to be back right before the World Open, the Tour Championship and the World Championship Giants. And tell me this man is not going to be a real threat for the World Championship crown number 2. Yes, I know about the Crucible Curse in the first round. And, you know, I was joking about it, but I wasn't really, because I was following the Zhao campaign from the start without realizing that he was going to go all the way, as he gives a little brush to one of those reds, but keeps himself on the black. And I was watching his first match of that I've seen against Elias Lesser in the qualifiers of the Judgment Day. And, well, as he managed to get himself on the red, he tried to get that cue ball across the red straight away. And I'm not sure he's managed to land on at least one of them. I mean, it feels like he's got one into the middle, but it's borderline on one of those reckless shots that you have to be screaming and shouting for him not to be taking on, because it has got a lot of factors involved for it. But yeah, just finishing off with that point with Elias Lesser, by the way. I just realised that he had a match with him a couple of days ago. But yeah, finishing that point, he was probably the closest match of the whole World Championship campaign. So once again, it just proves the point for me that the toughest point for him is to get through the opening couple of rounds. And then he's got that Trump and O'Sullivan form, where the further he gets into the tournament, the better that he actually plays. And that's certainly going to be the attribute of a champion. But with me picking him up badly, watch him now miss this red by a mile and leave this frame away to Murphy. He's gone for it. And look at that. Brilliant on the pot. Horrible on the position. Cannon that pink away onto the side cushion. So it's just about going to be on the blue. But I feel like that's the time to take your foot off the gas pedal and just say, well, I didn't manage to do it first time. Well, I feel like that's not really going to be Zhao that I know. So he's going to be taking this blue on, but really awkward bridging over this red. I mean, this is going to be just about as good of a shot if he takes it as the previous long red. Look at that. I mean, that is absolutely wonderful. And that is why I feel like this could be a Ronnie O'Sullivan region in the making. And, yeah, look at that for a shot. I mean, you won't understand with me describing how difficult that shot is. He's quite small, which makes it awkward for him to be reaching that cue ball. And also, he has to bridge over 4 or 5 reds. Very little control of the cue ball in terms of how low he goes into it. That blue is pretty much in a straight line looking towards the brown, and somehow he managed to get it perfectly into the pocket after playing a couple of super difficult shots. Now then Murphy, he's going to be the one feeling the pressure. 2-1 advantage. Looks like it's been ages ago when that was the case. And now it is 21 points of an advantage for Zhao. Because Crucible will be a good motivation to go for. Yeah, I mean, listen, like, the thing about it, let him just take this blue on, because I want to see if he's going to try and separate the reds from each other. But as much as it's a bit of a funny thing, I do have a thing about Crucible Curse. I just mentioned that his biggest issue so far for me is getting through the first couple of rounds, and that's exactly the case with the Crucible Curse, because that's the whole thing about it. You don't get past the first round. So if you say that 2 plus 2 is going to be 4, then you should have a bit of a tough draw for Zhao. He should be out in the first round. But if he gets through the first couple of rounds, and make no mistake about it, I mean, that's going to be the player for me to have my money on. And yes, I've got a bit of stock in the bank for him because of that, criticism that I personally always gave him. And I thought he was so much overhyped before reaching that semi-final spot, because I thought he had such a favourable draw. And obviously just watching that one with a bit of a ripped into glasses and not realising how good of a player he was. And sometimes when you admit that you're wrong, the best way to be sort of acknowledging that is to actually supporting a player that from the purely styling point of view and the personality point of view as well. Apart from, he's obviously a Man City fan, which to me is a bit of a pain, but, you can't all be perfect. Last year, he had to qualify. Yeah. The thing about it is, like, I remember coming through his entire sort of list of matches that he's played. Obviously, Judgment Day was Elias Lesser, 10-8. Jiang John, I feel like he was against him 10-4. I feel like he defeated him in one of the qualifying rounds. But he had 3 or 4 matches there. So he basically he had the longest route to the World Championship out of anyone on the tour. Because he was competing at an amateur status. He wasn't even part of the actual main tour. By the way, he got himself into the world of trouble. And he manages to get this red in. And by the way, Zhao Xington is taking this one as if it's an exhibition. He should realise he's not Marco Fu playing Stephen Hendry now at the World Grand Prix. This is brilliant there because he keeps running himself out of position and then he's just finding the most ridiculous plans to try and keep himself on this break. And Sean Murphy must be feeling like, well, when I come back to the table, what on earth am I supposed to do? Because I've given him half a chance and he'll wipe my hand off. And Fearless, yes, certainly he is. He's got absolutely no pressure getting to him. Well, you probably have to say he had a bit of that when he was in the final against Mark Williams. He didn't really have it against Ronnie O'Sullivan either, because I feel like how much of an advantage he had. But to be fair, he had 16-7 advantage over Ronnie, and he had 17-7 advantage over Williams. Lost 4 or 5 frames with the bounce, and still was comfortably away to be taking the Crucible Crown. Once again, taking that blue into the yellow pot. This is certainly, once again, going to be on the highlights reel because how difficult this break has been and how easy he makes it look is pretty much illegal. Certainly in the way that we've seen snooker previously. And I'll tell you what, the lineup, if Zhao Xington, and it is still a big if, he's not even 4-2 up, but if he manages to reach the semi-final, I am going to be so looking forward to see the upgraded version of Zhao Xington to be up against a good version of Mark Selby or Mark Allen, because I don't want to say you won't leave them a chance, but I feel like they'll have a lot of thinking process to try and figure out how to stop this machine, because on pure pace and the pure technique, I feel like no one can actually match him anywhere near him. He's got 7.5 minutes for the frame time, 65 points that he scored, and by the way, he's had 65 points, which he had to work super hard for. Half of these shots have been incredible. The way that he started has been nothing short of breathtaking. And I'm complimenting him for probably 7.5 minutes of this match, but he certainly deserves all of that. Made a century break of 142 in the previous frame. Could be about to make it another break of 130 plus. Because right now, he certainly won the frame on the board. I feel like I just sweep it under the carpet and not bother about it at all. But he was able to just control the pace of the match with such great confidence. This is how he played in the Worlds, yes. And I still find it a bit disappointing from my point of view that I overlooked this completely. I was watching that match against Wakelin. I was watching the match against Li Beifan. And I genuinely thought that he was overhyped. How wrong was I? And I'm super glad to be wrong because this is the version that I was hoping Buiza would become. Before, obviously, I've seen the Zhao Xington to come back onto the arena. And the good thing is, Buiza is actually rolling himself onto the seat. He's got to be quiet now, but you can't expect him to be taking this, the whole thing by storm, because I still feel like, from the pure, Buiza has got a lot of attributes that he managed to develop to a decent level, but Zhao Xington has got 2 or 3 that he managed to develop to the standard that was never seen in snooker. And maybe overhyping him here, doing exactly the opposite of what I was doing at the World Championship, but he may even have, at this stage of the career, not going to say he's going to be better than prime Ronnie O'Sullivan, but he should be pretty close in some of these aspects of the game to what we've seen from Ronnie doing day in, day out for 30 years. But of course, the reason why we praise Ronnie so much is he misses the red, unfortunately, into the left corner. So not quite going to be a second century here, but still 237 points without an answer. And Sean Murphy is certainly going to be on his back now. It is 3 frames on the bounce for Zhao Xington. And it's certainly going to be the back marker becomes the leader and the front runner. It is now 2-1 of a disadvantage turned into a 4-2 lead. And it is advantage Zhao Xington as he takes the commanding lead now over Sean Murphy. And we will be a force. Yes. So really happy for Weezer as well, because when I cash out of my stocks, I'm not going to stop supporting them. By the way, 450 people watching, feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. We're still going to have the semi-finals, hopefully. I mean, I'll probably make it as obvious as I can, but hopefully featuring Zhao. And yeah, I just feel like he manages to make the snooker a lot more enjoyable to watch. And once again, it is not going to be a dig or any sort of, you know, not opposite of the compliment to the other 127 players. But when I've got Zhao to be watching, I feel like whatever happens, unless he's going to lose that one 6-0, which pretty much never happens anyway, I am going to be set up for a really interesting match. And I always look forward to watching him. And that's something that I've been missing in snooker, I have to say. As much as there was a thing about Trump, I always find that's an interesting point about Trump, because I always seem to find Trump just not having the perfect style of his game ever, because I feel like the reason for that must be because I've seen prime Trump in 2018, 2019 and 2020, and everything after that just looks to me like that's way below average. That's not the Trump that I used to see, and I've got this incredible expectation on him. So I still got massive respect for Judd, and as I say, he's the reason why he's going to be the runner-up for me at the World Championship, and it's completely understandable why he's going to be the favourite to be taking this tournament or any other tournament in the odds favour. But I still feel like there's something special about Zhao, the way he plays the game, and he could take a position like that. That's a perfect example of why it is super enjoyable to watch, because probably on 10 of those shots, you feel like there's a 50% chance that he'll miss at least one of them. He goes on to clear, maybe even more than those 10 shots, but he goes on to make all of them. He goes on to make at 95 points of a break out of a position that you feel like you'll do pretty well to score 40 points out of and just play a safety shot. That's the whole new level of snooker, and that is why, if you invest your stocks in Wu Yize and Zhao, I feel like right now, make sure you don't cash out before it's too late. It's too late. Basically, it's too early to do it now. And I feel like we've got a couple of really exciting years on our hands. You know, I've seen Chris Wakelin interview, by the way, as Zhao goes for a break-off, seeing that, you know, potentially the likes of Poland and Ukraine, of, you know, Julian Boyko, Liam Pullen from England, and Anthony Kowalski may be rolling onto the scene as well. But I have to say that it was a bit of a thing for Zhao to try and take it to the same level. Last spot time, 28.5 minutes there for Murphy. And by the way, from Murphy's point of view, I mean, what on earth must he have been feeling for those 30 minutes without a pot? Because that's been more than that. I'm not sure he had a pot since the intermission break. And Zhao just taking those two frames by storm, 142 points, which of course makes it no points for Murphy scored in the previous frame. And then on the one that just finished, another break of 95 points. And look at that, all of a sudden it's a 170 point swing in terms of total points scored there in favour of Zhao. And yeah, you were spoiled. Yeah, certainly was. And the thing about it is, I do have a bit of a good feeling that maybe I am going to be spoiled in a couple of more years, because, you know, you've got no real sign that the likes of Wilson and Trump are going to be disappearing, which I feel like is still going to be a very important asset to the game. But I feel like the likes of Zhao and Wu Yize are going to be the ones for me to be carrying the game forward. Because look, ever since, obviously, Ronnie, and before and now and after, there's never been a match that I always anticipated with, like, I'm really looking forward to it, and I feel like I've got a bit of investment in there from a mental point of view, and that's exactly what happens now when I watch Zhao especially, but Wu Yize to an extent as well. Si Xiaowei has to be in that equation because of the way that he plays. And yeah, probably that's going to be the end for me on the end of China. I mean, I've got some stocks in Boyko, obviously, but I have to say, don't really get that excitement from watching either Trump, Wilson, Murphy, Selby, Higgins or Williams. But I suppose, once again, you compare it to the generation, and that generation is always going to have Ronnie O'Sullivan as very much the top part of the game. And the problem is that we haven't seen loads of him this season. And yeah, coming back to this match, though, Murphy needs a response. Obvious statements. He needs it now. And he needs a couple of those frames to be won, because if he finds himself 5-3 down, there's barely going to be a coming back route from that. So the way that he needs to try and approach this one is going to be answers on the postcards, by the way, because, I mean, how do you approach this style of Zhao Xington, and how do you shut him down, especially if their cue ball is going to be heading in towards and in behind the green? Just about stops there with a millimeter in between the cue ball and the green. And, yeah, so it is now going to be all down to getting the first chance, obviously will help. Being clinical with that chance will be even better. But where's the guarantee that you are going to be getting the first chance? Once again, I mean, we've seen that in the first couple of frames, and it seems like it is going to be a bit of a sort of effortless thing to do here, of Murphy missing the red once again on a thin contact, giving 4 points away to Zhao Xington. And I feel like Murphy walked away there to realise that it wasn't really going to be a lot of, you know, sense for Zhao Xington to be asking the referee to put this one back, because once again, Zhao will still feel like he's got a bit of momentum next to his name, and Zhao playing good safety. Yeah, I mean, once again, there was I said the points in the first 3 frames. This is why I disagree that Murphy has played a better first mini session. Zhao had brilliant long pot success. He had a really good pot success. He had a bad safety play, which was the only thing that he had to improve on. All of a sudden, he manages to fix that. He utilises his chances still with brilliant clinical parts of his game. And all of a sudden now, he finds himself very much in control of it. I'm hoping that Selby gets to meet the Cyclone. That will be, I mean, that will be perfecto. Is that what it's going to be? Because the clash of styles, the clash of generations, the clash of everything there, is it going to be another ranking event final for Selby after the UK Championship? Or is it going to be the number 2 for Zhao Xington after the World Grand Prix one that he reached? Or Selby managed to be in the Champion of Champions as well, and at the Invitational event, I'm not sure who he managed to defeat, to be fair. Was it Weezer that he's taken in the Championship League? Oh, I felt that was the chance to be a bit of a revival there for Sean Murphy, and it may still be the case, because the cue was heading in behind the brown. Basically, he's left the red right over the pocket. It's about as close as he possibly can be, literally, but, well, I feel like he's just about close enough to the brown for him to have the ability to swerve around it. I mean, it's not quite in the pocket, and from the left side that you're going to be swerving into, you still need to, well, this is tough, you know. This is tough for him to be hitting this one, and yeah, exactly. That was the reason why. I'm going to come back to it in a second, because he managed to drop the cue ball with that red, which is still a bit of a 50-50 there, because at least it doesn't leave that red to Sean Murphy. But the problem with that shot that Zhao Xington had, you can't really hit it from the left part, because that will potentially leave that red to stay away from the pocket. You have to leave it from the right or from the center part. If you hit it from the center part, breaking news, the cue ball is going to follow it because of how little of the pace that you must be playing this one to make that swerver actually work. And in the end, he clearly hit that one right in the middle. The cue ball has followed that red, dropped it in. And by the way, even if it didn't do that, he was always going to have a safety to play, because the black was not available, the pink was not available, and the blue would have been impossible to be taking from that situation. Here does the winner play. It's a good question. It's going to be either Mark Allen or Mark Selby. So I can tell you the first name is going to be Mark. Whether it's going to be Allen or Selby, I don't know. But he's going to certainly have 5 letters in his last name. But no, either Allen or Selby. The match that will start in 4 hours' time. Yeah, 3.5 hours' time from now. And then the second semi-final is going to be the rematch of the Masters. John Higgins will be looking to try and make his 3rd ranking event final this season, after losing out the previous 2 to Wu Yize. Not ranking final, sorry. It was the Masters, which of course would have been invitational. And the International Championship, which he lost out to Wu Yize and Karen Wilson respectively. Really good shot though by Murphy. It looked like he left the red over the right middle, but in the end the cue ball pace allowed him to find himself out of trouble. And despite leaving that red over the right middle, he's not going to have the angle there, Zhao Xington, to try and drop this one in. And if anything, I have to say, I mean, he's gone for the option of not trying to touch that red at all. I felt like that might be the wrong decision, because he just leaves himself with such a vulnerable area of the cue ball to be aiming towards, and he always has got a bit of a risk of catching the jaw of the middle pocket, and manages to navigate his way nicely there. And yeah, nice shot. Really nice shot, to be fair. Sean losing confidence now. Well, I bet he will be. I don't feel like he had a lot of it ever since the start of the second mini session, but Once again, it's a fine margin, and I said that one pot could have lost him 1 point. He could have lost him the entire match, and he was super close to being 3-1 up. Really close, as I say. For me, it was 1 pot away, and then it would have been the pure formality. And yeah, at that point, everything has changed. 3 frames on the bounce instead. The break of 142, 95, 67. And Zhao Xington all of a sudden is the one setting up the pace of this match, playing the better safeties, playing the long shots. 8 out of 8. 10 out of 10 in terms of his performance in the second mini session so far. Will the Tour Championship be on Channel 4 right before? That's going to be the question to Kevin, if he bothers to answer you, because I've got no clue. And he will be waiting for the result of the Selby Island match. Yes, correct. One of those two. Yes, correct. But the Tour Championship, no clue, because, as I said, I don't really care about it. And I'll let you know when the actual tournament starts, because they always do a bit of a preview of which of those channels is going to be streaming it. Murphy, though, is able to just do a bit of damage limitation there to himself, because he leaves the long red. It's a really difficult one, and he probably isn't worth taking on. But tell me the time when he actually stopped Zhao Xington from trying to go for it. Of course, you know, there's gonna be a thing about trying not to break his perfect stats, but if they're going in, why not take another one? And that was the mentality. It hasn't worked out. The red is gonna bounce away, go all the way to the top, and then bounce in between the bulk line and the blue ball line. So close, but the way that he's hammered that one home, it was never gonna be close enough. And well, the same red looks to be potable into the left middle, although I feel like it will be quite a problem for Murphy to be taking this one on. So the one into the left corner. I'm not sure that was a genuine pot attempt, but the way that he was leaving that cue ball to be lined up for the green, I felt like it was. And yeah, catching another red in progress didn't really help. That compromised the passing angle completely. Now let's see if it is going to be anything else for Zhao Xington that he left. Channel 5 picked up Tour Champ coverage. There you go. He knows his stats. He knows everything when it comes to the snooker. And I'll tell you who knows about everything when it comes to the long pots. Zhao Xington. It's not going to be 10 out of 10, but it's going to be 9 out of 10, which probably sums up his performance so far. Although I'm going to drop that to 8.5 out of 10. Bit of an unlucky cannon on the green will leave him pretty much having to play the safety shot. But I bet I've said that before and was proven wrong there by Zhao. So let's see if he is going to be taking the yellow. I feel like he won't be this time, so just try and roll the cue ball in behind the brown. Needs a bit of a pace injection, and he ain't going to get it. So decent idea, horrible execution. And it is now going to be 14 more reds for us to try and make our way through. And yeah, colours are not really going to be favourable for whoever gets themselves onto the first chance, which probably is going to limit these chances taken. But this is a really good line, and just needs to make sure that the brown absorbs all the pace from the cue ball. This is a fantastic shot there that Murphy finds, and he does it just about in time there for him. Because remember, 4-2 is still recoverable. 4-3, 4-all of a sudden, it's anyone's smash for the taking, and it's Murphy with the momentum and the advantage. But all of a sudden, if he goes 5-2, then that's the point where you have to say that's probably not going to be the one that Murphy can try and recover from. For now, it is going to be the perfect execution. Look at that for the pace. And I feel like Zhao Xington probably deserves not to be leaving a touching ball away, but the referee doesn't think so. The snooker gods don't think so either. And Sean Murphy will be just playing that cue ball away from the two reds, clearly touching at least one of them. So I felt like he can try. Well, I mean, I say he can try. He's going to have to bridge over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 reds, with all of them being in different positions there. So that's going to be very awkward for him to be trying to place a spider. So let's see if he's going to have a firm contact on the cue ball. But the target area, I would say, is going to have to be probably the same, in behind the green and the brown. That's what he's tried. And that's not really going to be just about as nice of an execution as he was on the previous occasion. He's going to just get that green to be closer to the brown, which forms a brilliant line of if you get that cue ball to be on the ball cushion right now, it's going to be a super dangerous snooker for whichever one of the players gets that chance in. But for the meantime, it is going to be Zhao Xington to try and guide one more red towards the left part of the table. Once again, those 14 reds Probably taking around 10% of the table as it stands. And another great shot there, this time around by Zhao, leaving the turn back to Sean Murphy here. And making sure that Sean doesn't have anything easy available to himself, so he can try and think about, going for a little bit of the touch on the two reds next to each other, and just playing them into the left corner. That's going to be one way of getting things right for him. So he's just thinking about maybe going for a couple of the other reds that he can try and take from the left part of the table instead, which is going to be slightly more difficult with the way that he needs that cue ball to be away from the left corner pocket. So now the long thinking process is going to be over. Ooh, that's the thinnest of touches that you could possibly hope for. And the cue ball is going to be racing towards the green pocket. And now, I tell you what, probably going to be overreacting there, but is it going to be a free ball away? No, it won't be. You can see from this angle clearly that it's not even close to being a free ball. But it is going to be 4 points given away. So far, 13 of those scored. Only one of them was scored from that potting angle. The rest of the 12 of those came from the, what's it called? From the foul shots. And actually, the reason why I stopped there for a second is because I remembered something. The referee, if my memory is correct, is the same referee. When Zhao was placing that cue ball onto the D, it was the same referee that called that very famous foul shot on Hossein Wafai in his match against Jimmy White, when the White wasn't inside the D. It's one of the Home Nation series, I think it was. But this is getting ridiculous there from Murphy. And he nearly potted the cue ball again. But, I do want the stats on how many foul points he's given away to Zhao, because I feel like we are going to be getting into a 50 zone at this stage. 30 of 12 at this frame. He surely had 12 in another frame. And I feel like we are going to have something like 30 points at least there that he's given away already, which, sometimes it can be the difference between taking the frame and losing the frame. So Zhao just very kindly asking Murphy to play from this position, which Murphy, like you can see with the face, doesn't really look too happy about. But, obviously with the situation that he finds himself, not the fact that using the chance that he's very much entitled to. So once again, looking for that gap in between the green and the brown. But the fact that he's going to be mounting the cue ball to be on the lower end of the brown is going to compromise Zhao to an extent as well. So one of the slowest starts to the frames that we've seen. And certainly not for the first time that we've seen Zhao coughing. But I'll tell you what, the last time that he was coughing, he's gone on to win the whole tournament. So that certainly is going to be one positive for him to try and keep an eye on. For now, it's a red that is about to be taken towards the left corner pocket. And, in the end, he decided to try and take the cue ball towards that left corner pocket, which, as I say, Murphy's one was easy on the previous occasion, and I still felt like he was going to have a mountain of a job for him to try and keep that cue ball away from the jaws. In the end, Zhao wasn't able to do so, and the good news for him is that now 14 of those reds are going to be taken, 5% of the entire table. And, Murphy hasn't got either one of them to be available to him, despite Zhao basically taking the blue spot there, canning the blue out of the way, and leaving Murphy with a straightforward safety shot to be played now. And, well, I say a straightforward safety shot, that certainly is not the way for you to be using that chance. Now he needs the cover on the green, and he ain't going to get it. This is a disappointing stuff there from Murphy, and for once, it looked like he had all the chance to try and set the pace to the safety battle. In the end, he pushes one of those reds to be quite close to the right corner. And it is now all down to this shot at this stage for Zhao to at least try and give himself a chance. Anything other than that is going to be a bonus. And is he going to be getting this bonus here? Well, we may be close to it. He's just about going to be on the pink there from my point of view. The blue is horrible. The yellow is probably slightly better, but still quite bad. And the pink, he ain't going to be a straightforward shot. But I have to say, after such a drought, you will be taking for a half-empty glass of water there. Yeah, just try and cut this one in. Make sure the cue ball avoids the, I was going to say the jaws of the middle pocket, but in the end he needed to avoid the blue as well. And it's causing a bit of calamity on the table. It is going to be 7 points scored, but that's going to be the end of this break, it would seem. So now the yellow is going to be super close to the blue. The green and brown are still going to be compromised. The black is covered up by those reds, and there was a treble attempted, which I'm not even sure that was an attempt of a treble, because it clearly was an attempt to stun the cue ball and leave Sean Murphy in a bit of trouble. And then if the red goes in, that's even better, because it allows Zhao to roll that cue ball towards the bunch of the blue and the yellow. So once again, this time around it is going to be 13 points advantage, with still 13 reds available at the table there. So, by the way, all the momentum is going to have to come to zero now for Zhao, because it's been way too long for him to be trying to get these breaks to be re-established. By the way, I don't know what Murphy's doing at this stage. Honestly, like, he probably feels the same, because I'm not sure if he's given a free ball away. Like, he's just given 7 points away for nothing there for Zhao. Look at his face there. You can't believe what he's doing either. I do want the stats on how many foul points he's been given away so far, because that's been dreadful. And by the way, rest in peace on whoever was betting on one of those frames to be without a foul shot. I mean, that certainly didn't happen on a lot of those occasions. Murphy being totally outplayed. I mean, that's the weirdest Murphy that I've seen, because, I mean, I guess the Xi'an Grand Prix was bad against Williams, but he was playing well. He was playing really well in the first 3 frames. He had that one mistake on the red, and he seems to have just taken him to from absolutely, well, great or really good to absolute crap. I mean, it's one of the worst performances I've ever seen from Murphy, and he's done it again, it would seem. He's hit the black again. I mean, I don't understand what he's doing at this stage. I mean, he's not going to have a 3 miss roll, I would seem, but I feel like he doesn't understand what he's doing either, and I don't know why Zhao is the one playing. Yeah, so 34 points there, by the way, of Zhao. 8 of them have been scored by himself, and 26 have been foul shots and foul points given away from Sean Murphy's camp. So, table running off. I mean, not really. Like, he's just playing a bit of a weird shot, because he's got the black in the way of the bounce of the black ball cushion for that cue ball to be heading towards those reds. But even, like, I'm not sure if it's going to be breaking news, but I feel like even if he gets the clean contact on those reds, he's still not going to have insurance linked to it that he won't leave any, well, realistically, any one of those 3 main reds that are going to be quite loose available to the left middle or the left corner. The table has been running off, though, on a couple of previous occasions and a couple of previous matches. So this one looks a bit better, but I have to say it's such a misjudgment there from Murphy, because right now he was absolutely nowhere near hitting that black. And with the way he's done a bit of a cue movement there, it seems like he's left an easy pot away for Zhao, and the match that was getting to him anyway probably is about to slip away from the fingertips there of Sean Murphy. And Zhao is about to have a really strong grip on it now, just playing for the pink, rolling that cue ball across the table, and Murphy knows. You can see the shake of the head there. He probably can't believe what happened to him either. Zhao certainly can, and he won't care one bit about what's going to be against them. He's going to be all about trying to focus on the now, get himself 100 more points in total for this in the next frame, and then 6-2, 5 frames on the bounce. Mark Cullen or Mark Selby, at this stage, probably going to be underdogs coming against this machine of scoring points there. Yeah, Williams' game was a couple of balls. Yeah, I mean, that was a bit of a joke, that, because a couple of balls missed. I mean, he lost a frame whilst there was 83 points at the table when Trump had 90 points with the score sheet. How do you think that happened? Like, that was hilarious. I feel like it was 4-1, so it would have been the 5th frame, and that was absolutely hilarious with the way that that match was going away from Williams, because the worst thing for Williams was, if Trump didn't have the loose red after the 6th or 7th attempt, he would have probably continued to lose all the points in the world, because he was using the 3 cushions at the top part of the table. As I say, he's had at least 6 attempts, and he wasn't able to get anywhere near getting to the reds. He caught the black a couple of times, he caught the pocket a couple of times, but never able to get through to, I don't know, 10 reds or something like that, which was separated right next to the pink. So that certainly was a really fun match, but I feel like the fact that it was 4-3 for Williams at that stage, but he was always going to be doing the damage to him when he lost out to those 4 frames in the bounce and allowed Watchalong to take full command of that one. And this could well happen with Sean Murphy here, because he could be on the verge of losing 4 frames of his own here. Zhao taking the pink straight into the heart of the pocket, looking at the camera. Not a millimeter to the left or the right. And once again, because of how many foul points given away to him, he does need to wait until he's going to be getting on the frame ball, despite him scoring 63 points now as he takes another red. So the benchmark probably is going to be 80 points here. Total points since the interval, 4 points for Murphy, which have been a foul shot from Zhao in this frame. 300 for Zhao. That has been an absolute horrible story for Murphy. And by the way, I mean, make no mistake about it, that all of that came after that missed red into the right corner. Murphy hasn't scored a point since of his own pot. 4 points was a foul shot that I can't remember if Zhao got that cue ball to drop or whatever, but it doesn't really matter. He's yet to pot a red ever since that miss on the red, and look at that brilliant split of the pack there from Zhao. He's about to make it at 66 points of an advantage, 83 at the table, so at this stage it feels like he needs a red and a colour for him to be over the line, and it is going to be GG's once again. And it looks like, you know, I said it's very unlikely that we're only going to see 4 more frames of the action into the interval. And if anything, as I say, for the consistency that Murphy has been showing so far, barring the champion of champions and a couple of weird performances as well, he has been super consistent this season. And Zhao was actually the one that you never quite know which version is going to turn up. But the really good one turned up here, and he actually got an upgrade from the way that he has been clinical with those chances at the opening couple of stages with the World Grand Prix. Although, just as I say that, I mean, he's 79 points clear with 75 at the table, to be fair, so he shouldn't be too concerned about it. He would love to roll a red once again into the left corner, but I feel like, especially with the black not being available, it's not really going to be a lot of the points for Murphy to be coming back to the table. Well, let's see if it is going to be a frame for Zhao. Not sure. Murphy is going to be coming back, so you can understand why. Come on, Zhao. Yes. Come on, Zhao, and hit the like button. Yes, even more. But yeah, you can understand why Murphy's coming back, but you can also understand if he wasn't coming back. 75 points means that you need 4 of these reds to be taken with the black. Then you have to try and do the messing around and try and find a snooker. On the last one, I tell you what, he nearly got it first time. With 5 reds in the open play, that cue ball was super close to being behind the brown. In the end, hasn't quite worked out at all. And I'll tell you what, I did my maths wrong, and I've got no idea then why Sean Murphy came back to the table, because let me just do the score sheet differently. There you go. 67 points is actually at the table, so the break of 49 points. I've got no clue why Murphy's playing on here. He needs 4 snookers, and he's got 4 reds, which are all in super difficult positions to be taken with a black. I mean, and he's about to take it with a pink as well. I mean, that is just a bit of a weird one there from Sean. And he's not going to do himself any justice and do himself a lot of favours there either, because he's left the red over the pocket, which will leave even more of a chance for Zhao to be scoring more of those points. 4 snookers, yeah, I mean, at this stage, it's fine about 4 snookers when you've got 2 snookers and a free ball utilised with the black, but you ain't going to have a chance to be hitting those reds with the black. And Zhao there just getting that red, playing the pink onto the right side. And, well, I thought Murphy was going to continue and actually be taking the thing out of this thing, because, yeah, if you're going to have 6 or 7 snookers to try and find, when you're 5-2 down, he wasn't. He was just heading for the interval of his own for a bathroom break on his own time. And it is now going to be Zhao that takes 4 frames on the bounce, and the quarterfinal that looked like it was slipping away from the player from China has certainly managed to drift all the way across to him. And with the helping hand of Sean Murphy, miracle needed, yes, but, you know, miracle needed for Sean Murphy, and it's all about damage limitation for Zhao here. Take it with the first frame, that's going to be your best chance of trying to get yourself over the line. By the way, thank you very much for everyone watching the stream. Feel free to hit the like on the stream and subscribe to the channel. Does look like we are going to have the setup of Zhao against either one of the marks to be playing in the semi-final, so we'll just have to find out if it is going to be confirmed that Zhao will be able to win one of the remaining 5 frames as far as I'm aware. 4 frames, I should say. And yeah, he certainly should be able to do that, because with all the respect to Murphy and with all the consistency that he has got to his name, with the way that Zhao Xingtong plays this game, it is always super difficult to be winning 4 frames against him, something that I feel like only Weezer and Karen Wilson managed to do so far this season. Apart from Joe Connor, that, lost the opening frame to 146 points. The only time I feel like that's happening this season, and then somehow managed to win 4 frames from the bounce. Although, as I say, Joe Connor did that, and I'm pretty sure Jordan Brown did that as well at the Northern Ireland Open. So, as I say, he probably has got a bit of an allergic reaction to the Home Nation Series, because I just want to have a look at, by the way, what's his record at the Home Nation Series this season, because, as I say, the first round match was against Joe Connor. He seems to have lost that one 4-1. Jordan Brown, 4-0. And then what was the third one that he's played in? So that's probably why he's taking this one so seriously, because he knows that the next one is going to be the Welsh Open, which he may as well not turn up for right now. He's played a lot of the Championship League matches, I'll tell you that. So he's had a first round match walkover over Robert Milkins. Then he lost 4-2 to Joe Connor. So 4-2 that one. The Northern Ireland Open, he lost to Jordan Brown as well. And then English Open, I'll have a look, 4-0. And then I'll have a look at how he's managed to do it at the English Open. Murphy's in danger. Well, he was in danger for a couple of frames now. And he's probably in the horrors now. And he's probably 1.5 step out of the tournament as well. Now, then Zhao Xingtong, he wasn't in the last 16. He was in the last 32. He lost to Jack Lisowski 4 frames to 1. So in the second round, the only win that he accumulated in the Home Nation Series was against Ishpreet Singh Chadha from India. And yeah, only 7 frames that he's managed to win in the 3 Home Nation Series tournaments so far. So that's certainly going to be bang out of order there for the World Championship form. Now we can see that Zhao has managed to return to the table. Murphy, understandably, taking a bit more of the time. Maybe just trying to come up with some sort of solution mentally or physically. But whatever he does, as I say, I feel like you're always going to have a bit of a counterpunch from Zhao Xingtong's point of view. And you can always say a bit of, well, you do this, you try and adjust yourself, and then, I'm just going to take it to a whole new level. And you want to take your game to the next level, well, that's fine. I'll just stay on where I am, and it'll still be more than enough for me to be over the line and taking this one away from you. Zhao wasn't playing like he is now early. Yeah, I was keeping an eye on him, and I wasn't really going to make the same mistake where I was like, yeah, that World Championship was a fluke. He's still a horrible player, because I just thought he was a bit weird. I will say that. The way that he's lost that semi-final in the Shanghai to Wilson was super weird. 10-5, 5 frames on the bounce. Never seen that before in him. Then Saudi didn't really play well, but didn't play badly. Like I thought, Trump, everyone just seem to have knocked themselves out before the business end of the tournament. Anyway, so I felt like I shouldn't be too harsh on him at that point. As Murphy right now, about to make it a break-off shot once again. And yeah, Home Nation, as I say, horrible. Then he had British Open, where he won against Higgins, but I feel like he lost the next match to a straightforward opponent. I can't remember who it was. And Wuhan Open, as far as I'm aware, lost to... He beat Stevens, Matthew Stevens, and then he lost to someone, once again, lower ranking player. So it's just been very underwhelming there until we got to the International Championship. But look at that. That is illegal. And once again, someone called the police, because we have got an absolute illegal player here. Because Zhao Xingtong, look at that for a shot. That is an absolute beauty that he's pulled up into the right corner. And, well, you're not going to dream about a better shot there. Because now, make sure you get this black in, and you're going to be able to separate those reds perfectly. And he's missed the black. No words needed. That was the perfect commentator's curse if there was one. And I meant no harm. But yeah, he was a brilliant pot. And then he was a horrible miss on the black there from the spot. The cue ball was lined up perfectly on it. And yeah, the good thing for him is that he hasn't left anything. But still, that was quite embarrassing. Need to warm up. Yeah, but... Oh, you mean... I thought you meant from Murphy. It was a bit late for the warm-up now. Yeah. but weird. Still a bit weird. The way that he was playing in the World Championship, I thought that he was going to take every single tournament by storm, and he was going to be Chomp against Zhao, Wilson against Zhao, Selby against Zhao, and stuff like that. But, you know, Chomp has said it himself. You know, he had the 22, 23, 24 seasons where he was winning all the tournaments at the start of it, and then he's used the best out of his form, so that he wasn't able to do anything with it when the big tournaments came in, as he now rolls the red in, but that was always going to be just a single point that he can score, take a red away from the table, and yeah, this is going to hurt, to be fair, because I'm not saying that is going to be the case, but this could be the one that you look up for and say, this was the mistake of the championship for me. If he is to go on somehow to lose this match, of course, still very much far away from that being the case. He's about to take the black as well. Well, I mean, that was a bit reckless and that was a bit disrespectful, I would say. Because he was always going to be leaving the red out to the green pocket, which I understand he was playing for himself. But that was probably just an hour, by the way. An hour since the last spot for Shaun Murphy. And I'm not sure that's going to be taking the intermission into account. Absolutely hammers that one home. He's going to put the yellow closer to the left middle, which at least gives himself a chance. But an hour since the last pot time, I'm not sure I've seen that for a long, long time. And the person that springs to mind was Karen Wilson at the Xi'an Grand Prix. And guess who was against him? Didn't have a pot in the entire match. It was Shaun Murphy that was up against him. Brilliant performance. And as he said himself at that point, probably was the best performance of his life. This match is certainly not going to be in that list. But this shot may certainly be an honourable mention there for the best split of the match so far. A brilliant execution there from the yellow. You know, he was certainly out of position. But Murphy managing to get those reds to be spread out perfectly there for him. And, I mean, as I say, Zhao shouldn't get complacent because he was the one that was trading 5 frames to 2 against Elias Lesser. And yet he was able to find himself winning that match. So, as I said before, you know, at that point it was very unlikely. It is a bit more likely now. If he loses this match, it is going to be an absolute horror for him to be coming back to that missed black. And Murphy's last chance to step up. Yes, when is the Marks match? Yes, so that was a long time ago. So 7 o'clock, so in 3 hours time basically from now. It will be 7 o'clock in the evening. And then we're going to have the semi-final started tomorrow. So this is probably going to be the perfect chance for Murphy because of the way the Reds are positioned. It's probably going to be a medium to hard challenge in a practice table that you would actually find yourself trying to do because the black is going to be covered up into the left corner. It is possible into the right. The pink is out of position but can be potted as well. And the Reds are in sort of moderate to difficult position there in terms of their relation to each other. And he was always going to be get back to playing well. Yes, but I do have to say, at the point of the International Championship, I did start to, not going to say feel back on he's overhyped, but I did start to wonder about because that was the point where Trump was finally coming back from his 3 months absence on the tour pretty much, where he wasn't playing well at all, getting eliminated in the first or the second round matches, and that was when he reached the first final of the season of the Northern Ireland Open. And then he had one at the UK, then he had one at the Champion of Champions, and at the same time, yes, he managed to reach the semi-final in a couple of them, but I'm not going to say that he was playing well in either one of those particular matches. So, you know, I felt that World Grand Prix campaign was perfect for him because of the way that he had opposition which usually doesn't suit him, because I feel like when he's going to be up against attacking players, he can always just out-attack them, if that's the word, outplay them on his own territory, on his own rules, on his own sort of style and stuff like that. And this black is going to be drifting wide. Ooh, that one. To be fair, I am going to give this one to Murphy, and that deserves a fist on the table. That drifted badly, and I'm not sure if there was a fist to the table or it was an apology to Zhao, but this one should not have drifted that badly to the left corner, and you can see a bit of a question mark of what was that for Murphy. And yeah, I mean, if that was me, I'd be using a bit of other language, so fair play to him. That was unlucky, and yeah, unfortunately he's going to be jousting Tom, but fortunately for Murphy, then black is going to be covering the pocket, so I feel like this frame could be there for a while. And Zhao has got no clue, as you can see from his face expression, on what's he going to be doing here. The double is on, it would seem, but he's had his luck before. And another thing about Zhao Xingtong is that it reminds me of me on one aspect, is that he always goes for something that isn't there. But when he does it, next time you'll be sort of like, well, I've tried that already, it hasn't worked, I've paid the price, I'm not going to do it again. And that sort of uses a bit of mana for him. He'll do it once per frame, once per match I should say. And then he'll just go on, depending on what the outcome is going to be. It's a good shot though by Murphy, because he was taking no room for error in terms of sending that red right across the table and very close to the black. In the end, bounces away there to make sure that he didn't touch that colour. And gets that cue ball across pretty nicely towards the yellow pocket. Once again, Zhao Xingtong finds a really nice line of his own, getting a bit of the kiss of the green, which will cover the right part of the table there for Murphy, which I have to say at this stage, because of the black being over the left pocket, is going to be the more profitable one. Murphy seems like gone with the wind. Good one. And especially gone with the cyclone, I'll tell you that for free. You can make a reference to it. Gone with the cyclone, Sean Murphy. And the cyclone played by Zhao Xingtong. Ooh, this could be one of those shots there that he will regret playing. I'm not sure that this red is available there for Zhao Xingtong, but every single time I say it, he goes on to pot them. So let's see if he can get through to this red, to the right corner, because the black, as I say, is going to be waiting for him over the pocket. And that was close, but he got that red to be hammering away. And nice control of the cue ball, to be fair. You know, he managed to finish perfectly on the bulk line, which probably would have given him the chance of taking the brown or the green. And with the way that the red pretty much followed the cue ball the entire way, but had a lot more power because of the contact point, he's gone on the lower part of the table, and Murphy's not going to have anything simple available to him. Although I still feel like he's going to be taking the same red into the right corner just because he can, and just because he's got nothing to lose. And that's a brilliant shot, nicely played there by Murphy. And I do have to say, I feel like he deserves that one, because that was pretty cruel on the way that the black is rolled away from the pocket, and certainly the shot for him to be announcing himself back to the frame. Sometimes, another point that I'm going to make, winning a frame like that in 2 visits can be even better, because it's not quite as smooth. So you get 2 chances, you get more of the table time, you get more of a chance of actually trying to make a total clear onto something, but also you get yourself to witness your opponent missing a couple of those, which is important for yourself and themselves as well, because as much as you want to be playing well, you're also going to benefit if your opponent is not going to be playing quite as well as they have been throughout the remainder of the match. But I still feel like Murphy is quite far away from getting this frame over the board, though he will be a lot closer if he gets this pink with a contact to the reds. He decided to hold the cue ball instead for the remaining 2. That might just about suggest that he can get through to the lowest of the 4 of them. And at that point, there should be enough points for him to be taking this one into frame number 9. And once again, I mean, I will say this, it is the exact carbon copy of the way that the match of Elliot Slessor and Zhao Xingtong has gone. Because that frame number 8, a couple of those chances for Zhao were there, well, for Elliot Slessor were there. And in the end, Zhao needed a couple of opportunities, I'm not sure it was 2 or 3, and he was able to take that frame, and still, it looked like it was going to be just a matter of time until Elliot was going to get himself over the line. And then it was a good break in the 9th frame, even better in the 10th frame. All of a sudden, you find yourself being in a decider, and then Slessor didn't really have a really good chance to try and get himself back in there. Match from that point onwards. So for now, taking the pink probably is going to be the last missing piece of the jigsaw. And played the shot super well there, Murphy, trying to keep that cue ball to be very much tucked in into those reds. And separating just about enough of the width there in between the 2 of them. So he's got a choice of taking the one into the left corner. Murphy's anger can help. I feel like he won't be angry. You'll be disappointed, but you'll feel a lot better now that he's managed to stay in this match. And I mean, he's got every reason to be angry with that black fading away, but I feel like he needs to focus on the positive, because I feel like the angry is not really going to do it towards Zhao Xingtong. He needs to be playing well, and you know, the anger is going to be like, I'm going to be trying to get at him. I'm going to be playing my best game. Sometimes it can work, but I feel like just utilize your chances, and that's about as much as you can do, because he's still going to be a massive underdog. 68 points for him to score during this frame is going to be nice, and he's about to make another break of 50 plus points there for himself. Yeah, sharpening him up. Yeah, but as I say, I think it is going to be down to who's going to make least amount of errors. I've said it in the 5th frame or something. And then, well, this black, he could have done without missing the black, because he could have done with accumulating every single point and every single ball that he can. For now, it's still going to be a break of 44 points, which will leave Zhao in his chair. And it is now, once again, Sean Murphy to be taking a frame away from Zhao. And it is not quite back on there for Murphy, but if he wins one more frame, he could have Zhao feeling a little bit worried there, because only one frame away at that point from a decider, and anything is still possible, especially with me saying that this match so far has been an absolute carbon copy of Elias Lesser against Zhao meeting yesterday. Big frame next, yes. Once again, not going to be a lot of pressure on Zhao to win that one. I feel like there is going to be a lot of pressure on him to win the 10th frame, but right now, whatever you do now, Zhao, make sure you're not going to make the same mistake as he has in the black, because that was disappointing from me, because I thought we've seen Zhao go past this stage, especially at the quarterfinal. I can understand if he's doing it in the qualifier of, one of the invitational, one of the ranking tournaments, but don't really do it against someone like Sean Murphy. And also, you're not 5-0 up, you're 5-2 up. Now it's 5-3. We've seen it against Zhang, we've seen it against Zhao Gadon. When he makes a mistake like that, usually he steps up his game on the next frame. So, I mean, I said 6-3 before the start of the match. 6-4, I should say. So, I tried to change it to 6-3. Probably don't get the wildcard for it. But I would expect a step up now from Zhao, because it's probably going to be the last frame of the match without pressure. So, it's now deliver, or all of a sudden you are going to be under pressure. And sometimes he benefits from it. Sometimes he just crumbles under it. So, as I say, going to be very interesting to see. And also, you're ignoring the points on the other part of the table. And into the right corner, it is going to be Sean Murphy to try and have his say about what's going to happen here. And I bet it's not really going to be aligned with what Zhao has got in his mind. But we're about to witness on which one of the players is going to be the winner of the frame. And in Zhao case, maybe even the entire match here as well. For now, it is going to be all about the action. So just waiting for the players to come back to the table. And then it is going to be Zhao that will... I mean, if you're Zhao here and you have got a long shot available and it's a 50-50 one, do you say, and it's 60-40 even, I'll give you in favour of Zhao, do you take it and do you agree to the fact that if you miss it, you could have Sean Murphy to be clearing up from that position, or do you just try and work yourself into a better chance? Because I've got the answer for me, and I feel like this is probably going to be the last frame where he can afford to try and just go for it without reckless shots like that black into the yellow pocket, which, I mean, is still very much the part of his game that, in my view, he needs to work on. Because you wouldn't have maybe prime, but you wouldn't really expect Ronnie to be going for that shot. And with all the respect to Zhao, he's still nowhere near to be reaching that prime or an informed Ronnie O'Sullivan. What does not enough tipping data mean, please? Don't know. What do you mean? I've got no idea what you mean about it. I mean, I mentioned if it is going to be a long shot available for Sean Murphy, that is a brilliant for Zhao. And look at that. That's the perfect on the reverse cards for Sean Murphy. And that's certainly a brilliant timing for him to be getting this red into the left corner. And it is now going to be all about trying to get the black into the right corner now. So trying to get it into the right part of the table here. Zhao playing with fire, could lose. Sean warming up, yes. It is going to be all about it. And at these stages, as I say, it is going to be just trying to take that red into the right corner. And getting himself lined up for the blue. So that was the two reds that he had available to him. Now it's 13 after the blue. 2 cushion escape from the cue ball. And that's probably sums up the way that he's played in this match. And I would like to hear what he's had to say about it. But I feel like I've seen a smile on his face, so I thought he may have been a bit self-critical. Let's have a listen. Yeah, so they've turned the audio on the replay. They've turned it off. But whatever it was, he's just trying to play a straightforward two-cushion escape and send that cue ball into the bunch of reds. In the end, that's gone horribly wrong, and the cue ball basically followed the blue into the pocket. And try to give some... Oh, thank you. I get what you're saying now. I'm not sure. I should have tested it beforehand, but I will do. So, yeah, appreciate that. If it doesn't work, then it doesn't work. I was told that the Streamlabs can be a bit weird about that one, especially at the start, but I'll try and sort it out later on. So, yeah, for now, it is going to be once again back to Shaun Murphy giving foul shots away. Foul points, missing the contact on the red. So he's going to be now 9 points each. And back to Shaun Murphy, it is going to be there, you would feel. So Zhao just thinking about trying to hit this shot from his position. And once again, just not looking to waste time at all. Realising that Murphy's a lot less likely to make the same mistake twice. Although that happened in the match previously. And yeah, the point that Zhao Xingtong needs to be making to himself here is that he needs to be taking the positive, even though it was a brilliant shot from Murphy, and he sort of bought himself into the chance, and then bought himself out of that chance with the surprising miss on the cannon of the blue. And then still, it is now going to be an advantage for Zhao Xingtong's point of view, and just trying to get this trade to be taken into another one with a plant, and he clearly is not going to be in the mood to be messing around. That is the Murphy that you very rarely see, but that is the Murphy that clearly had enough of messing around here, and he's going to be going for it. So go big or go home, and he's now probably one step closer to going home for now. Good thing is, it's in England, so you won't have a long way to go, but the bad thing is, it is going to be a chance for the first time there that we're going to witness from Zhao Xingtong. Ever since that brilliant red that he's taken in the previous frame, unable to take it with the black. Once again, a good red that he's taken. This time around, it is going to be lined up for the pink to be taken. So, yeah, I mean, Zhao Xingtong was just quietly going on about the business, and he needs to make sure he's going to be finishing the business here, and then opening up the new branch tomorrow up against either one of the Mark Cullen or Mark Selby. For now, takes the pink away, which for whatever reason the scoreboard will recognise. So now 7 points advantage. The problem for him, probably the only one that he can find in his break, has to be the factor of the black not being available into the right corner. But surprisingly to me, I was about to say not available into the left corner as well. But Zhao Xingtong has played for the black, and you can see he's got a wide space for the black to be taken. So that probably was the only thing stopping Zhao Xingtong from having a clear path on towards the finish line. And when it started, I don't know, 3 hours ago, something like that. Yeah, exactly 3 hours ago, so bit of a late question now. And if you take the red into the right corner, once again, that's going to have the black freed up in both of the pockets. So 16 points of an advantage here from Zhao. And I think he lost the will. I mean, I'm going to comment on after this black, which goes in. And he got himself a couple more of those easy reds. As much as it's weird, and I'm surprised that there's a couple of points there. As much as it's weird, I can understand it. But I feel like he's lost the will at a bit of a weird point. That plant was reckless. Yes, he was trying to bring the cue ball up the table, but he didn't do enough with it anyway. And with the way that you play this plant, you never have complete control where either one of the two reds is going to finish. But if you're going to play a shot like that, do it in the previous frame. I don't really understand the way that he's approached the frame number 8, and then he's gone on all in, out attack on frame number 9, because that was the point where you try to turn the page once again. And if he wins this one, I mean, tell me it's not going to be a 60-40 advantage in favour of Zhao Xingtong, because yes, he still has got that frame advantage, but, you know, I feel like if Murphy was the one getting this position, which was probably the fearing point, and to be fair, I kind of realised that, I feel like the explanation is going to be with that miss on the blue. He must have been, that reaction surely must have just taken one bit out of him, and the crystal shot of patience just finally ended there with him. So as I say, the black fade, he clearly had a couple of bad things to say about it, and I can understand it, but the blue clearly took him over the edge, and, that, tell me if I'm wrong, that's the thing that happened with Elias Sessler yesterday, and that's the thing. When you have got someone like Zhao Xingtong that may still go for it, but it's always going to be on the thing of him looking at the scoreline and saying, I may as well do it now. From the mental point of view, it is going to kill you if you go yourself for, I'm just going to go for everything now, which was why I was super surprised when Larry Carter pulled that off against Ronnie O'Sullivan in the German Masters second round, because he was absolutely brilliant, but he was taking everything on and he was potting everything. So that was probably the only time where I can remember recently where that worked out. And a shout out to Carter in that match because he was special. And a shout out to Murphy. He had a decent run coming into this match, and in the end, he was the second best on the day. It is going to be Zhao Xingtong marching towards, well, the match ball for now. I thought the black was going to be match ball, but right now he marches towards taking this red into the right corner. No problem at all, and it is going to be Zhao Xingtong making another ranking event semi-final to add to the International Championship, to add to a couple of invitationals of Champion of Champions, of the Riyadh Championship, of the Shanghai Masters. He's now going to have the Players Championship, the tournament that he wasn't guaranteed to qualify for before the start of the World Grand Prix, the tournament that he's managed to take by storm. And look at that, he's now taking the entire tour by storm, because ever since the brilliance of Mark Selby at the Champion of Champions and at the UK, we haven't seen a player to win back-to-back tournaments, and certainly haven't seen a player to win back-to-back ranking titles. And I tell you what, we've got a brilliant setup. We've got the experience of John Higgins, we've got another generation pretty much of Judd Trump, and then we've got a whole new level of even younger generation of Zhao Xingtong. GG's match, yeah, exactly. Like, it's a bit of a funny one that he's got a message on when he started and then GG's match as well. Now then, taking that red into the right corner, can we see a century break? We need the brown to disappear first. Zhao Xingtong clearly aware of that. Probably the only thing that he might want to work on is the fact that he only made one century prior to this point. But I tell you what, that is a wonderful touch there that he had on getting that brown into the left corner, and at the same time just getting that red to be away from the black ball cushion, rolling that one into the corner. And then the break of 91 points, surely it can't go wrong from here. And it is going to be another century break. 98 points for now, so he can make his a break of 125 points there if he is to make a total clearance. The only bit of concern there for that to be the case is going to be the fact of the brown and pink swapping the spots there. But ultimately, the challenge is on, and it is going to be the challenge for Mark Allen or Mark Selby, because you try and stop this machine there. And I called this before the frame started. I said every single time that Zhao Xingtong got on to make a mistake as reckless as the previous black that he missed in the previous frame. Yes, he was helped on by the fact of Sean Murphy's mistake, but hey, listen, when you have your opponent making a mistake, the best thing that you can do from your point of view is do a break of 107 points and counting, and make sure you are very much the player to beat. And I mean, right now, I've really enjoyed the way that Trump has been going on about the business, but I'm still going to say I've got Zhao Xingtong to win this tournament as the favourite now. I feel like nothing wrong with Mark Selby or Mark Allen, but Trump is going to have a bit of a challenge in John Higgins, especially if he's going to be, feeling nice and feeling fresh ahead of that semi-final. And now a bit of a trademark trick shot there from Zhao Xingtong. He's made it before, he's not going to make it now, but in the end, it's probably going to be the only thing that he misses about this match. And Sean Murphy saying very warm congratulations there to him. So does Kevin Dubrovsky. He has been the man of the tournament once again ever since the World Grand Prix. Zhao Xingtong, the Cyclone, marches on into the semi-final. And once again, a comprehensive win against the top-seeded player. Sean Murphy is out. Zhao Xingtong is going to be through to the last four as we await for the semi-final spots to be completed by either Mark Allen or Mark Selby. But for me, it is still Zhao Xingtong's tournament to lose. And we'll see whether that was going to be the case when the semi-final kick off. Here looking good. +1, hit the like. Yes, so feel free at the end of the stream, hit the like button. If you are new to the channel, feel free to subscribe as well. And we'll see you at the semi-finals. Both of them are going to be an absolute cracker. And I tell you what, I probably said it before, but I didn't have a lineup for the semi-finals to be looking forward to as much as the ones that we've got here. Murphy is going to be out. Zhao is going to be through. John Higgins and Chomp are going to be there as well. So Mark Cullen or Mark Selby to complete the lineup for one of the best last four setup that you could possibly imagine before the tournament started. Once again, thank you very much for watching, and feel free to be tuning in tomorrow. Loads of action featuring Zhao, John Higgins and Chomp. We'll speak to you soon. Thanks for watching.
And